game is all about respect, and I feel like the only way that you get respect is winning that Lombardi Trophy.
And for the Philadelphia Eagles, the long drought is over.
They were chanting, "We love Vi, we love Vi." We got the best fans in Philadelphia, and hey, they're about 6, 7, 8 people deep here on Broad Street. We got a live look at Oregon Avenue. Obviously, we know South Philly. A lot of people call home diehard Eagles fans.
When you say Oregon Avenue, I think of Tony Luke's.
Hey,
right?
Absolutely.
As a lot of people do, but thousands of people there in Oregon Avenue. Let's give you a live look from the Parkway. We have a camera on the roof of the the Franklin Institute, actually, and it shows how many people are actually there. This gives you a little better perspective of the numbers that we're dealing with here today.
A swarm, a sea, a crowd, throngs, you name it. The best way to describe it is thousands, maybe millions. Obviously, the count, we'll get the count maybe a little bit later on today. We also have a live look at the podium set up right by the Philadelphia Museum of Art. This is where, of course, the 5-mile parade route ends. Starts here in South Philly, ends at the Art Museum, right in front of Aikens Oval, right in front of the Rocky statue, and that's fitting because this is a Rocky story.
Yeah.
It's the ultimate David and Goliath, and here we are on Broad Street.
Cinderella, you name it. It all comes together here with the 2017 version of the Philadelphia Eagles, the world champions. Let's check in with George Spencer, who's standing by live. Are you at Love Park or are you at City Hall, George?
Yeah, Vi, we're in Love Park right across the street from City Hall. I may be a little bit biased, but right in the middle of the city. I do not think there is a better spot to watch the parade than this. As we've been telling you, the sound of the Super Bowl coverage is rumbling on the loudspeakers. And the folks who are right up here at the very front with the best seats, the best look at this parade route have been out here since about 6:30 this morning. I've made friends with Alice and her family. Alice, you guys came in from Abington this morning. Yep. Got here about 6:30 in the morning, right?
Yep.
Why was it so important for you to be out here today?
Well, I love the Eagles. I love football. This is my very first parade, and it's worth it. It's worth the cold.
You guys have an amazing spot. The sun is out now. I think you're going to get the players right as they make this corner. To be a part of this city history, it must feel pretty special.
It does, and we're just here to say thanks to the Eagles, man. They did it, and we're proud of them.
A lot of proud Eagles fans out here. Everybody wants to say hi to their family. This girl was telling me she wanted to say hi to her mother. There are a lot of people who are just out here who are so excited to be even waiting in this cold, because it is truly a moment in Philadelphia history. We have been waiting a long time for this, and if you have a spot this good, you have made the effort to get your front row seat. Rosemary and Vi.
All right, George Spencer, live in Center City. Hey, they're calling your name, Vi. Vi, man of the people. He's heading out. Let's check in with Jacqueline and Glenn. They're over by the Art Museum on a packed Ben Franklin Parkway.
Let's go. It is packed, and this crowd on the Ben Franklin Parkway is going crazy because they're replaying the Super Bowl on these jumbotrons.
The fumble just happened. They're all going crazy. Yeah.
People are going crazy as if it's the first time they've seen it. This parade route is what people have been studying because they want to make sure they have the very best vantage point, starting at Broad and Patterson, and then they are going to proceed JFK around City Hall right on 16th and down the Ben Franklin Parkway.
Yeah, this gives them a much bigger area to have a bigger crowd than when the Phillies went the other way and end up in Citizens Bank Park, which is limited in the amount of people you can fit. This is only limited by your imagination. There are people on balconies all over the area in the apartments.
And taking a live picture from the observation deck just to show you the masses of people who are out here to soak up this history. Right now we want to go down to NBC 10's Dre Clark, who is live along the Parkway. Dre.
Hey, Jacqueline. Yeah, we're at 22nd and the Parkway, not too far away from the Art Museum steps, about a quarter mile down the way here. And at this very moment, we're pretty much reliving the dream, if you will. They're rewatching the game here on the Jumbotron. It's fourth quarter at had about 2 minutes left. This was that moment when it became clear pretty much that the Eagles were going to go ahead and win Super Bowl 52. That energy has carried over from last Sunday down here to Thursday and the parade. It's amazing to see the people still coming here on the Parkway. I got here myself this morning at around 7 o'clock, and there were nearly as many people as we see now here on the Parkway. It is an electrified crowd. It is a crowd that's very energetic and very excited. They can't wait to see that float come by with the players. And when that does happen a little later on today, it's going to be an unbelievable moment. You know, some people say they don't understand why there's so much hype about this being a parade. Well, it's not just a parade. This is the first Super Bowl in franchise history for the Philadelphia Eagles. There are people who remember 1980 when the Eagles lost to the Los Angeles Raiders. And we all remember 2004 when the Eagles lost to the Patriots. Fast forward to last Sunday, that's why that moment was so unbelievable. This is a moment 57 years in the making. That's why this crowd is so excited. That's why people are so passionate. They've been waiting so long for this to happen. And when you take a look around and see this crowd, it's very diverse. It's old, it's young, it's black, it's white. And the common denominator is they all love the Philadelphia Eagles. This is a great moment for the Eagles. It's a great moment for the city because of that when people are unified and they are collectively here gathered side by side, shoulder to shoulder, excited to see this parade come down the Parkway. Jimmy, I'll send it back to you, Jacqueline.
You've seen this movie before, too. Now, do you have the guts to throw it one more time?
All right, Dre. People are so excited. They've waited so long for this.
We're right to the end of the game here.
And at the end of the game on the Jumbotron.
Yeah, if you hear a giant roar, you'll know what it is.
People are riveted. Let's take a live look from the Franklin Institute where you can see many people are gathered. They're saying up to 2 million people out here. Let's go to Brittany, who's down at Broad and Walnut with the crowd there. Brittany.
This is the biggest thing in 50 years for the city of Philadelphia and for South Jersey. Can't forget South Jersey. Big-time Eagles fans in South Jersey.
All right, so take a look at all these fans here. All the kids are playing hooky from school. This is too fun. So we're actually having a battle with which side is the loudest. So we have this side over here. We also have our Eagles fans across, I don't know, it might be across the street. Look, well, let's go across the street and see. So they are waiting for the parade to make its way up Broad Street. And these folks have been out here all night. Look how pumped they are.
Yeah! Let's go, Birds! Let's go, Birds! Let's go!
It's just incredible. Everyone coming out with their different signs. They have their flags. They're bundled up. Our wind chill right now is in the low 20s. So if you do plan to come out to the parade route, you have to make sure you bundle up. It is definitely cold out here, but that is not affecting any of these fans. Listen, you have people lined up on top of Banana Republic here, all the way down towards the Union League, all up and down Broad Street. So we'll send it back to you guys in the studio, but the energy here is, I mean, look at this. It's incredible.
All right, taking a live picture right now from up above the Franklin Institute, looking down on this parkway and the sea of green. Let's go to Tim Furlong, who is live down there on the parkway. Tim.
Guys, guys, I'm like having a tough day today. Find yourself welling up. You're looking over here. I'm eating tasty cakes at the Eagles parade. If you hit me in the face with a cheesesteak while I watch Rocky, this could not be a more Philadelphia moment. It's unbelievable to see all these people out here for this great moment. I've seen people in Keith Jackson jerseys from the 80s that look like they're the original ones. They're all beat up. They're all old. I've seen old people. I've seen young people. I've seen people in wheelchairs. It is an absolute sea of people. I covered the Phillies parade. This is bigger. I've been to every 4th of July. This is bigger. I've been to everything on the Parkway. I was here for the Pope. I believe this is going to be bigger. This is just an unbelievable, endless stream of people. Every time you think it can't get more crowded, it gets more crowded. The view that we have up here, WIP Radio is really helping us out here. They let us come up here on this kind of party deck, which really is a great vantage point. We've seen some former players. We've seen guys like this. Guys, brother, just tell me, are you having as much fun with this as I am?
I'm having a ball. We just got up here. It's great. It's out of the wind. It's beautiful. This is great.
How long have you been waiting for this?
29 years, yeah.
Is this just like the most beautiful?
It's just beautiful. There's people everywhere. It's just mobs of people. Everybody's having a great time. Everybody's helping everybody. It's just excellent.
And when we have the Carson Wentz lookalike contest later, you might have a shot.
Maybe, or Prince Harry, one of them. You never know.
Hey, either one's good. Hey, listen, I just want to say I'm happy to be sharing this moment with you and everybody else. That's what this is, really. This is just a shared moment here. It's hard to see a little bit, but you look up the Parkway, and I just see all these heads, and I see all the people holding little kids' hands. I see the people up on the balconies up there watching this. Guys, it is off the chart, better than I expected. Look up at that balconies up there, guys. Look at the people on the balconies hanging out there. It is just a magical moment here in the entire Delaware Valley, Delaware, South Jersey, Philadelphia. Guys, it doesn't get any better than this. Remember where you are. If you're watching this at home on TV or on an app, you're part of this too. My kids right now, they're watching. My wife is watching. We're all sharing this moment together. Please remember how this feels. Please remember how good it feels for all of us just to get along and share this moment. Because if it happens again, I don't know that it'll match this intensity, guys. Back to you.
Well put. Huge boost for the city of Philadelphia. And talk about a season that started with quite a bit of adversity, a league that was politicized, and here we are, as Tim put it, one big happy family.
Yeah, the parade is about to start. It's hard to believe that we're talking about a parade here, but here we are. A parade's going to start here in just a matter of minutes, really. Just over my side here, over my right shoulder here, are all these fans who have gathered here since like 3, 4 o'clock this morning. They're waving. They can't stand it. The anticipation is getting to them. I had to run over there and just say hi to them because the parade, when it starts, I'm not going to be able to cross the street.
Getting the fans pumped up.
Getting them worked up. Let's check in with John Clark of NBC Sports Philadelphia, who's standing by. Let's see, the last time we checked in with John, he had flanked by cheerleaders. Who knows what's happening now? John, what do you got?
Hey, Vi, the buses are revved up, 24 of them revved up, and wait till they see the crowd that is waiting them. I'm going to sit down here for a second so you can see the defensive lineman. There is Vinnie Curry. He's got the championship belt, world champs. And you see Bo Allen to the left there. And the defensive lineman, there is Howie Long with the fur. Vinnie Curry holding up the belt. Tim Jernigan, his gang green shirt. Howie Long, of course, wearing a Sixers shirt. And then, how about Fletcher Cox? Can't see him right now, but what a great tribute to the great Reggie White. And take a look at all the buses. There is Corey Clement from Glassboro, New Jersey. What a dream this is. Grew up in the area, and now he is going to be going through millions and millions of people celebrating the Eagles' first Super Bowl, and this thing is about ready to get started. As you can see, if we pan around to the back here, you can see the other buses are jam-packed. 24 of them, as I said, ready to roll up Broad Street and head to the Art Museum, and the perfect place to leave from. Lincoln Financial Field. Beautiful sunny day. It is always sunny in Philadelphia, especially when there is the first Super Bowl parade in our great town. So we're ready to get this party started. We'll be with you the whole entire way with the defensive lineman. You'll hear from Jeff Lurie as well, the Eagles owner, who has been obsessed with bringing this town its first Super Bowl, and he has delivered. the biggest gift this city can get. There's Fletcher Cox as you see him right now. He's got his ski goggles on. These guys are ready to party with this city. I am John Clark. We are live and ready to go. We'll check in a little bit when this starts to get rolling.
You heard John Clark talk about Eagles owner Jeffrey Lurie. From the New England area, Boston area, wanted to buy the Patriots. He made the right purchase, let's say, right bet.
We feel he did, and he certainly feels at this day that it's only taken him 24 years, but it doesn't matter at this point. He's got a championship trophy. He'll be hoisting that Lombardi trophy as they make their way down, as John said, in just a matter of minutes.
The Lombardi curse broken. And you know, Vi, we've got a bank of cameras all over the area. Let's take a live look at Broad and Fitzwater, just one of the spots where we'll see this parade, these floats, these buses pass through.
I don't know if there are any spots, if there are any holes along Broad Street where there aren't people. But we're giving you this live look so you can see just the thousands, hundreds of thousands of people that are along the parade route, just here to get a glimpse of the players and their families. And by the way, I'm going to tell you this. These guys are all going to have their cell phones out.
Oh, yeah.
This is something that most of them have not ever experienced or seen. They're going to be filming as they go.
Yeah, although I got to tell you, I've been trying to post on my social media accounts, and
your phone's dead.
It's frozen. It's like it's either frozen from the weather or it's just too many people down here. But, you know, that's a good thing. We'll take it.
Well, we're talking parade here, and we're talking Super Bowl, but we're also talking Olympics. Don't forget, our coverage begins tomorrow. The Winter Olympics from Pyeongchang, South Korea.
8 o'clock.
Competition starts today. So get started the day before the opening ceremony. And, of course, our Keith Jones is there covering that event for us live. We've got so much for you right here as we continue our coverage of the Parade of Champions and NBC 10 special from South Philly.
Count on it.
I'd like to dedicate this to all the Eagles fans around the world.
E-A-G-L-E-S, Eagles!
This is big because this is the first Super Bowl win ever by the Eagles.
Oh, you think you're going to remember this?
Yes, for my whole life.
Philadelphia, all the way up towards the Art Museum. We're looking live at Broad, Oregon, and South Philly, where you could hear those Eagles fans chanting.
And take a look at Broad and Passyunk. A great position if you want to come and watch the parade. People have been there for hours this morning.
All right, Skyforce 10 live over Philadelphia, capturing the scene and the sea of green from above. I mean, there isn't one stop along this route that's an open gap, an open hole. I mean, you just got people packed to the gills, so to speak.
Shoulder to shoulder, hip to hip. Let's take a look at Broad and Fitzwater, where people are lined up there. And by the way, Rosemary, for those folks that are out there, they probably are not watching us right now, but they have just started the parade. The first vehicle has just driven by. Let's give you a live look at Skyforce 10 overlooking South Philadelphia, and the thousands of people who are lined up here. They're excited, they're cheering, they can't wait to see their heroes.
Hey, Vi, we got great fans who are with us, and I know they'd love to talk to you, tell you their story. So you head over across the street. I think we've got one last picture to show you. This is the live look at the Philadelphia Museum of Art. This is where the ceremony caps off today. This is where the parade makes its way
you guys
from
on live
South
television
Philly.
right now in Philadelphia.
Let's check in with Vi.
Hey! Baby girl, Vi. My baby daughter, I get to experience with her, man. It's the greatest day ever, buddy.
Who brought kids? Everybody brought kids?
My son Ben, my daughter Olivia, my wife Annie.
Where are you guys from?
New Jersey. Originally from Bristol, Pennsylvania. Spotswood, New Jersey.
Bristol, Pennsylvania. You guys are awesome. Where are you guys from?
We're from Bucks County, Pennsylvania.
I can hardly hear you. I can't hear anything.
I flew from Jacksonville, Florida, just for today in this parade.
You came from Jacksonville?
Absolutely.
So were you at the last Super Bowl?
No, I wasn't living in Jacksonville.
It doesn't matter because we lost that one. This one we won.
This is the one. I came up to celebrate this Eagles victory today.
How long have you guys been here?
They've been living up here since 2000.
How long have you guys been here this morning?
Down here?
About 9 o'clock.
9 o'clock. You guys came late, but you got great spots.
Can't complain. Hey,
You guys-
it's the Florida luck I brought with me.
That's what it is. You guys are awesome. Where are you guys from?
Southern Delaware.
Southern Delaware. Where are you
Delaware. Same with
from? You guys
him.
been together?
Yes.
Wow, you lucked out, dude. All right, you got to go back across the street.
While Vi is signing autographs, we're also taking a live look at some of the buses that will be making their way from Lincoln Financial Field, heading up Broad Street, passing by these throngs, these crowds out here. I mean, you got people packed up against that barricade. Man of the people, Vi Sikahema. Not that they needed to get revved up anymore, Vi.
They are nuts. I'm like over there feeding red meat to the to my base there. Yeah, unbelievable.
Hey, you got people who probably watched you as an Eagle, watched you soar as an Eagles player.
Some of the older folks, yeah, their kids have no idea who I am, other if they've watched me on television. But yeah, they don't even know that I played football. But it's so fun just to go over there because those people have been thinking. A woman over there flew in from Jacksonville this morning or last night.
Sure.
They come in here and just be here for the parade. She's from Philadelphia, but this is what happens. People fly in from all over. They drive in from all over the place because they want to be here. They do not want to miss something so historic.
It's a rite of passage. This is a moment that will live in Philadelphia history, and you want to be part of it.
And our continuing coverage of this parade, a parade of champions, will continue on NBC 10 right after this. Stay with us.
When you have a problem. Eagles Parade of Champions, presented by Toyota, proud partner of the Eagles. Let's go places.
Oh, they're getting ready to step off by.
It's just about here. We see a police vehicle just moving slowly, ever so slowly, but right behind them is another group of police officers.
On bike.
Looks like a couple hundred of them, perhaps. Maybe not that many, but it sure looks like a bunch of them. They're on bicycles. And not too far behind them is the buses and the floats on which the players and their families will be riding.
And of course, they're Eagles dignitaries, so to speak. We have cameras all over the area. We're giving you an inside look. In fact, we've got a camera aboard one of those double-decker buses, giving you that vantage point of what the players are seeing as they make their way up Broad Street.
Yeah, we got John Clark of NBC Sports Philadelphia on one of those buses. He'll be with the players. He'll be riding along with them. Here's the first police vehicle making his way ever so slowly up Broad Street, headed northbound. They'll probably be traveling at about that pace right there, I would imagine.
Yep. All right, John Clark, he is live on one of those buses, giving us a great inside view of what the players are seeing.
John, are you there? Are you ready to talk to us?
Sorry, the bus keeps shaking. Yes, the bus keeps shaking and stopping. And take a look at the scene that we see here with all the police, the escort. I mean, this is the way it is the rest of the parade route. The Eagles are now throwing Eagles shirts to the security officers down there in the street. Brandon Graham right here throwing shirts to the police officers of Philadelphia. Brandon, we are live to everybody around the world who cannot be at this parade. What do you want to tell the city of Philadelphia, this gift that you have brought them?
Hey, I'm just happy that it's 2018 early Christmas gift. Hey, and it's something that everybody been waiting on, everybody been asking for so long. And, I'm just happy that we finally gave them the whole thing.
Brandon, when you first started to come out of the link on the buses and you see everybody out here, how amazed were you at this beautiful sight?
I'm amazed because I'm just looking at signs right now and there's so much going on. Man, it's so cool to see everybody out. I know nobody's working today, so hopefully we can get some dinner tonight. Hopefully they open back up for us tonight. But, man, I've been having so much fun so far. Everything that I dreamed about, man, it surpassed this because there's so many people out here, so much love, and I'm just happy we was able to give them what they wanted for so long.
You had one of the biggest plays in a Super Bowl, kind of closing out the game there, knocking that ball out from Tom Brady. How has your life changed since Sunday night?
Well, it changed now because we got this big old parade. I don't know, I don't know how it changed as far as me going out and stuff.
Can you go out to...
All right, John Clark live on that double-decker bus. He's talking to Brandon Graham. I mean, that was the play of the game. That swipe out of getting the ball out of Tom Brady's hands. You saw Tom Brady threw it, nothing there.
It was the only sack of the game, but it came at the most inopportune time for the Patriots and for Tom Brady. And, of course, it helped seal the win for the Philadelphia Eagles and win us this championship. And so here we are. The parade has we're not sure if it's officially started. It's 11 o'clock. But we've seen all the bicycle cops
they just passed us.
Rode past us, and one of them said, "Hey, Vi, you want to get on the handlebars?" I don't think that's safe as far as bike safety goes, but we're waiting on that group of cars with their sirens and their lights on to make their way up North Broad Street, because we think that the buses are just behind them.
You know what? And I got to tell you, the sun is shining. It feels warm. It feels good out here. The vibe, the atmosphere, the energy is just through the roof. The city of Philadelphia flying high on this Thursday.
Rosemary, this is such a generational thing for Philadelphia. I don't know if that's unique to us in our city. Maybe it is, but you have fathers and daughters and sons, and yet some of them are fairly young. They look like they're preteens. Some of them are teenagers, and maybe they're in high school, but they wanted to have their kids here with them. They wanted to share this moment. Maybe they've been, they've grown up themselves. The fathers, the parents have grown up watching games with their parents, and they've dreamt of the day that this might happen. And here they are with their with their children.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I got to be honest with you, Vi. Many a Sunday night dinner in my household as a Philadelphia native, you know, hashing, rehashing, growing up in a football family, hashing and rehashing all those plays, all those, you know, missed opportunities, great plays, and it all led us to here.
Nobody does Monday morning quarterbacking better than Philadelphia. Am I right?
Absolutely.
I mean, you know, what they should have done, what they could have done.
All right.
Let's check in with John Clark, who's in one of those buses, and they're making their way up north on Broad Street. John?
I believe we're on. Sorry, I can't hear you. Take a look. Every step of the way, it is Green Day here in Philadelphia. A sea of green. We see people sitting on top of the fences over there. We saw people on top of Citizens Bank Park and on top of Xfinity Live. Wow, what a beautiful sight. You see some of the workers in the train station here. They're taking a little bit of a break to get a shot of the Eagles rolling by, and you can see the birds tossing some shirts to the fans. They can't quite reach the fans. Oh, that one reached. So they're bringing gifts as well. And you know, there's some great signs that we've seen. I saw one that said, "Yo, Adrian, we finally did it." A great ode to Rocky. Take a look at these guys right here, trying to get as high as they can to see their Super Bowl champion Eagles. And we are now making that turn onto Broad Street, and I can imagine it is going to get even more insane from there. If you take a look at the bus in front of us, there is the Lombardi Trophy. If you take a look at the bus right in front of us, the Lombardi Trophy being held up so the Eagles fans can see it up close. That Lombardi Trophy for the first time is here in Philadelphia, and it's being passed around. Some of the players up on that front bus. Oh, and we have the dog mask out in the front of the bus here. The first dog mask that I've seen a player wear. That is Fletcher Cox in front of the bus with a dog mask. Oh, here we go. If you take a look, Fletcher Cox with his dog mask on, barking to the crowd. Wow, an amazing sight to see. The defensive line here, one of the biggest reasons why the Eagles won the Super Bowl. That's Fletcher Cox, along with Vinnie Curry. We got Brian Brayman, Tim Jernigan. They are amazed by all of the people that are out here, and they haven't seen anything yet. We're going to be here on this bus with the defensive linemen and other players, and we'll bring you a lot more interviews. We'll send it back to you. We'll be here all day.
Vi, you and I
John,
are.
thank you.
You and I have our fan hats on. We got our phones out. So we're gonna get. We want to capture the moment.
Of course, here's Philadelphia's finest. About a dozen motorcycle officers making their
Highway
way past us.
Patrol doing their
as
job.
They lead the parade, and they all got the Eagles flag on, flying.
They do.
Here's that first flatbed truck of players, about 100 yards, maybe 75 yards from us.
And you know, one thing coming from that truck, the Eagles confetti. So anybody who couldn't make it out to Minneapolis, couldn't get on the field, couldn't get a handful of that confetti, this is your opportunity.
They've got confetti with them. They're going to shoot. I think they've got a confetti cannon in one of those trucks, and they'll shoot it out here, I'm sure, at the fans. Even the police officers, look, they brought their families. They're riding shotgun, and their kids are riding in the back.
The ride of a lifetime.
Absolutely epic.
Oh, and here we
This
go.
is epic.
We've got a Toyota parade camera that is giving you another view. Hey, Pots and Pans, he's the man. Here come the Eagles cheerleaders.
This first truck has got players that got the cheerleaders. No, they got the string band. What's up, guys?
Oh, we got the drum go. Here's that green confetti. Swoop, getting the crowd revved up. And more of the highway patrol, making sure that the fans and the players stay safe. And so far, so good, Vi, in terms of the atmosphere, excitement, the behavior out here. A lively but friendly group.
Look, this is a family event, so people here with their children, some of them young, like 8, 9 years old, maybe younger, a few little faces there that may be 4 and 5. But, you know, when you're out here with your family, don't expect any nonsense to happen. That's not going to happen. Philadelphia police are out in force. But look, people are happy. They're excited that this day has finally come to pass. They can't believe that it's here.
What's interesting about this parade route is that they are making frequent stops. So they're traveling slowly. They're making a number of stops so that everybody can get a good eye on their favorite players. And in fact, I think we heard earlier from John Clark that Fletcher Cox was roaming the crowds with an underdog mask to boot.
I believe that's a double-decker bus right behind this flatbed truck right here. We'll try to get a better look and see which players are on there. And where the owner, Jeffrey Lurie, I'm told that, I think John mentioned that the owner, Jeffrey Lurie, is the one who's molding the Lombardi Trophy. That's going to get passed around among the players as they make their way up Broad Street.
We're hearing that some of the players are getting off the bus, making their way into the crowds.
Rosemary, you remember when they arrived on Monday following the win. There's Doug Peterson right there.
Yep. Hoisting the Lombardi Trophy, the shiny Lombardi Trophy.
The Lombardi Trophy.
Beloved in this town. I mean, he took a losing team to being the champions of the Super Bowl in a season.
What he did in his second year really unprecedented. It has only happened, I believe, he's the 8th coach to take a team to a championship in his second year. Those are guys. Yeah!
Hey!
They've got a truck with just confetti.
That's it.
And they've got... They're waving these guys on.
And here we go.
Doug, how's it feel, man?
Oh, this is great. I mean, it's unbelievable. You know, it's so exciting to see all the people, you know, represent the city, bring this back home. It means a lot to everybody.
Doug,
you said that this is just one of many to come.
Let's hope so. You know, and I do believe that. I think we got the makings to be back in that football game. You know, it's a lot of hard work and dedication, but we're excited to bring this back.
All right,
congratulations.
All right, buddy.
All right, Coach Doug Peterson, got to show off that Lombardi Trophy. Oh!
We got Coach
and John Clark,
John
of course.
Clark was right there walking along with them. His chief of security, Dom, there trying to pull him over. I winked at him, and he winked back. He understands what we're trying to do. Doug is probably going to do that along the route. I imagine he's going to start here, and he'll get up. He's a very people-oriented guy. He's going to get up and he's going to get out.
What we have going on here in South Philadelphia, just a taste of what fans are going to see all up along Broad Street as we get closer to City Hall and, of course, make our way toward the Art Museum.
There are probably more people as you get closer towards City Hall, and, of course, by the time he gets up to the Parkway, it is going to be an absolute madhouse. This is just the start of the parade. So he's already gotten out with the trophy.
I believe that's is that Nick Foles up in the front. It's a little difficult to see with the sun glare.
Jeffrey Lurie is standing there at the front. I think that's Nick Foles. Maybe holding the trophy. It's hard to see right here.
And also some of the players grew a little post-Super Bowl scruff, I think.
Yeah.
Taking it easy.
You know what?
On these days off.
They're sleeping in. They deserve it. They're not getting up and shaving. So good for them. Look at Jeffrey Lurie there in front, like he's standing on a podium there because he's taller than his players.
Jeffrey Lurie obviously overseeing the construction of the NovaCare complex, Lincoln Financial Field. This has been a long road for him and for his family.
We're standing right across from the NovaCare complex, which is opened in 2001. Lincoln Financial Field was opened and christened in 2003.
I told you, I was there when the vet was imploded. Yeah, I got a piece of the turf. I brought a piece of the turf home with me.
That was a sad day for me and for a lot of people who grew up probably going and watching, a lot of bad baseball there, a lot of bad football as well. But when it was imploded, a lot of us felt, a little melancholy about the fact that we lost that stadium. But you know what? Lincoln Financial Field is a palace.
It brought us here. It brought us to this day, to this moment, an historic day in the city of Philadelphia.
Just an amazing sight. You see people are just rushing to get to where they can get closer to the buses. We're moving again. Carson Wentz there on the far right. Nick Foles is holding the trophy. He's sharing it with his buddy there, Carson Wentz.
Doug Peterson up there with his family.
Amazing
Jeffrey Lurie, Carson Wentz. Flanked by Philadelphia police, the highway patrol. And then, of course, just thousands of cheering fans. Oh, boy. We got Chris Long up there sporting a fur coat. Hey, I don't blame him, considering it's frigid weather.
They've got those dog masks. Fletcher Cox has the dog mask on. He's got the world championship belt on.
Brandon Graham, John Clark up there.
And John Clark. Gary Watson, our colleague.
A lot of people talk about, obviously, the fact that Carson Wentz going down could have been the make or break part of the season for the Eagles. The Eagles had a lot of injuries to contend with.
Yeah, it wasn't just Carson Wentz. Of course, they lost their starting left tackle, Jason Peters, possibly a Hall of Fame player. They lost Darren Sproles, their go-to back on third downs. He's also a great return man, but he also runs the football very effectively.
Hey!
That's my man right there.
City Council President.
City Council.
Oh, we're seeing quite a few people from City Council. Hey! And state reps. Hey, yeah, that's right. Jordan Harris, Kenyatta Johnson.
Kenyatta Johnson right there at the back.
Daryl Clark.
Yeah, what they did is not unprecedented, but it's extremely rare for them to have lost a quarterback. But they lost more than that. They lost their starting left tackle. They lost Darren Sproles, a key contributor on the offense. They also lost their starting middle linebacker, Jordan Hicks. That rarely happens. I can't think of a team that lost so many key players, Rosemary, and yet played as well as they did. And they just continued. Next man up. The next guy stepped up and played exceptionally well. That speaks to their coaching and how well these guys have been coached.
Hey,
prepared.
It also speaks to the recruiting too. You said it earlier. Coming up roses for Howie Roseman, man in the front office, who brought a number of key players in, including Nick Foles, brought him back into the fold, so to speak.
And in fact, Howie Roseman was relegated to a back office, as many of us have heard. when Chip
2 years
Kelly
ago.
was here. He and Chip Kelly did not get along except very well, and Chip Kelly was getting, John Clark, I'm being told that John Clark has somebody on the bus. Go ahead, John.
Hey, we are live with a defensive lineman, one of the big reasons why the Eagles won the Super Bowl.
Brian Dawkins.
That was amazing. The world champs. Here we go. We are, baby. World champs. Well, let me tell you something mean, G. That little Hulk Hogan? Yeah. What's she gonna do? The Eagles. Oh, yeah.
Passing by us just now, Brian Dawkins, B-Doc, who was saying to the crowd, saying to you guys, saying to the fans, thank you.
I looked over at him, I just kissed my fist and hit my heart, and he did the same thing back to me. Brian Dawkins, one of the great Eagles of all time.
Now a Hall of Famer.
Now going to the Hall of Fame in his second year of eligibility. So happy for him. Of course, Terrell Owens, as we know, is also joining him in the Hall this summer. What a fantastic honor for those two men. And you know what? The night before when it was announced, or maybe it was 2 days before it was announced that they were going into the Hall of Fame, I thought that this is one of those omen things,
Right.
I mean, two Eagles going into the Hall of Fame on the night or the eve before the Super Bowl when the Eagles are playing in it, to me, got to be a sign.
All signs pointing to victory. I mean, to be perfectly honest, back here at home, I mean, just getting the vibe from the fans, everybody who's ready for that game on Super Bowl Sunday, it was like a foregone conclusion. This had to be the ending to this incredible story.
It could not end in any other way except with a win and this, a parade of champions. Look at these guys riding the buses. Some of the coaches were on that bus there. Let's see if
family, friends, of course. And
from the support staff.
From some of these buses, they're tossing out Eagles gear to the fans, to the deserving and dedicated fans.
What's up, guys? Yeah!
And Philly police helping them make their way up Broad Street. So again, this is obviously the start of the parade. It's going to continue up Broad Street towards City Hall, make a quick left on JFK, quick right on 16th, and then you got them on the Ben Franklin Parkway. Some more Eagles cheerleaders here, revving the crowd up.
Unbelievable day. It's a beautiful day. It is cold, but it's beautiful. My man! Yeah!
More green and white confetti.
I love the confetti trucks.
The wind is just right because it's blowing it right over the crowds.
The wind is blowing perfectly for the confetti. Look at how
it is.
Yeah! Confetti just blowing right into the crowd, and they're loving it.
This is the stuff you scoop up in your hands and stick in your pocket. Put in your scrapbook.
Handful.
When you were on the field in Minneapolis. Oh, is that one of your Powder Puff players?
My putt.
Wow, the buses just keep on coming.
I suspect that every Philadelphia police officer is on duty today.
I think you might be right.
Great job, officer.
Hey! Hey!
Yo!
Seeing a few people sport the Green Goblin look out here today.
Yeah.
If they can take their hats off, that is. And we've got another Toyota Tundra making the way up Broad Street. We've got cameras all over, Vi.
So some of these guys I've known for years, Rosemary, and they're mocking me that I'm standing down here. They're yelling at me, "Come on up here! Come on up here!"
You're supposed to
I'm
be
making
up
like
here.
I'm going to go up there. They are. That's right.
You can't hear it. They're saying, "Sick Emma." I mean, Eagle. Vi as
I
somebody
don't think they'd stop me if I went and got one of those buses. I don't think anybody would stop me. But you know what? I'd rather be here with you. I want to watch the whole thing. Officer, thank you very much for your service.
Thank you very much for your service.
Great work.
Vi, as a member of the Eagles organization, Eagles family, this has to have a special meaning for you.
It does, Rosemary. All of us who have had a part in being a part of this organization, part of this team, we feel so much pride, so much joy. We root for them. And many of us came from other teams before we played here. I played with the Cardinals and I played with the Packers before I came here, but this is the team that I'm most connected with. I love this city. I love this organization. I ended up staying here, of course, to work at NBC 10. And this is just an unbelievable sight. I feel so much joy, so much pride in the accomplishment of these players. I think they did it for all of us, not just former players, but they also did it for the city. They did it for all of these people who have waited for years to watch something like this happen.
Euphoria, elation here in South Philadelphia. We're going to take a very quick break. We'll be right back.
At NBC 10 News, we know.
NBC 10 presents Eagles Parade of Champions, presented by Toyota, proud partner of the Eagles. Let's go places.
Skyforce 10 over the scene in Philadelphia, a sea of green Eagles players, owner Jeffrey Lurie, head coach Doug Peterson, you name it, they're here.
Skyforce 10 gives us a pretty good perspective of what you can see, the numbers, the sheer numbers that are out here, estimated between, 2-3 million people. Who knows? It doesn't matter really today because people are here. Nobody's complaining. The crowd is starting to slowly shift northward. I see people sort of moving because the parade has moved on. It's moving on. There's still horses coming. Hundreds and hundreds of people, players, thousands of people watching. Thank you very much, officer. Thank you. I saw one of the buses was held up a little bit, and one of the bicycle officers rode back and told him to roll his window down and told the bus driver, you need to catch up. My man, how you doing? Great job.
Thank you, guys.
Great job.
I mean, you've got, in addition to the thousands of Eagles fans who are here, you've got hundreds of Philadelphia police officers fanned out across the area just to make sure everybody stays safe and has a good time, and they're having a good time themselves.
Yeah, they're on bikes, they're in vans, they're in motorcycles, they're on horses, they're in SUVs, you name it. You've got Philadelphia police riding them.
Accompanied by Pennsylvania State Police. We're starting to see some of their trooper vehicles here in South Philadelphia. They're just ahead of the officers who are on horseback. And I got to tell you, the weather couldn't be better.
Perfect day. It's a perfect day in February. You're expected to be cold in February. What else? You layer up, you come out here and you stay warm, and the sun is out. It's gorgeous.
You cozy up to the people next to you. I'm going to put my arm in yours.
Yeah, we're connected.
You get shoulder to shoulder out in the crowd.
Good job, guys.
Enjoy yourself.
Some of the officers, they've got their families. Looks like, they've got some of their wives and their children right along with them. You know what? They've got to go to work and you got to ride in the parade.
Bring the family with you.
Bring the family with you. Why not?
This is one of those days that certainly is historic for the city of Philadelphia. It's going to be one of those days that you tell your kids about, your grandkids about. This is what I was doing when the Philadelphia Eagles came back as Super Bowl champions. I made it down there to Broad Street for the victory parade. Yeah, when my kids were in, my older kids were in college 10 years ago when the Phillies won the World Series, and they wanted copies of the Inquirer, they wanted copies of the Daily News, but I've seen copies of the Bulletin. Hey guys, how you doing? Great job. I've seen copies of the Bulletin from the 1980 World Series and the 1983 NBA Championship. People like to hold on to these things as mementos, and you know what? They'll take snapshots because there weren't cell phones in some of those years. They'll take snapshots and they're taking video, like this guy right here is taking video. How you doing? Officers, thank you for your service. Appreciate you. Stay safe. Everybody has their cell phones out here. Hey, and we do want to see your pictures and videos, so be sure to send it to us on social media, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. Just look for us at NBC Philadelphia. And, of course, on the NBC 10 app, see it, share it.
It's a great way not only to share your video with family, but share it with total strangers, because we love to see those things. And you want to expose your video to as many people as you want to see it, your pictures. You've taken a really cute shot, send it to us so we can show it. We've got a platform where more people can see it. Just a few moments ago, one of the last buses to come through, still some Eagles players on board. We saw Zach Ertz, we saw my guy, Mac Hollins. I got a chance early on in the beginning of the season to spend a little bit of time with him. Our sports producer, Rob Kessner, he found out that Mac rides his bike to the NovaCare complex, rides it on game day and on practice days. He doesn't live too far, and so he rides his bicycle. That's his thing. So we decided to do a quick ride through the area, ride through FDR Park, and he told me, maybe one day he's got his sights set on the White House. You know what? And you know what? The fact that the Birds won the Super Bowl. Why not? Sky's the limit. What a remarkable year he's had as a rookie. He really stepped into a role as a third and fourth receiver. Played exceptionally well, caught a couple touchdown passes this year. And it was a great special teams player, but he had that reputation when he came out of North Carolina, I believe, right? University of North Carolina, UNC guy. We got these officers who are all, waving at us. But Mac Hollins, great year.
Zach Ertz.
You just talk about,
great play, great postseason. Couldn't ask for another big time plays coming up in the Super Bowl.
And how about Corey Clement from Glassboro, who wasn't drafted, went to the University of Wisconsin. There's a list of probably 25 running backs who were drafted in this year's class. He was not among them. But I don't know that any of those other players who were drafted in this class played as well as Corey Clement did this year, especially in the Super Bowl. He had that touchdown catch, was a clutch catch. He had a couple catches that were big runs. He just played. He was a phenomenal player for us this year.
I got to tell you, I've had my eye on Alshon Jeffrey. I mean, man, just coming up big time. I mean, really making some big plays, connecting with Nick Foles. Can't ask for anything better. I mean, can we get the same team next year? Right. They all stick around.
You know what? I think the thing is most of them will be back, and I maintain that despite all the talk that Nick Foles may not be around, he's going to go check the market. Here's what I think about Nick Foles. I don't think he's going to go anywhere fast because he's done that. He went to the wrong team in the Rams and it didn't work out, and he thought about retiring. I don't think he's just going to go to any team. I think it's got to be the right place, the right time. But I think he's also, the friendship he has with Carson Wentz is really important to him, and I think he's going to come back here because he knows he's going to play here another year. Because we don't know exactly when Carson will be ready. It could be September, it could be October.
Not to mention his relationship with Doug Peterson. I mean, everybody at this point, I'm sure, has seen that video of right before the Philly special. Nick Foles hashing it out with Doug Peterson. All right, what are we going to do? He says, Nick Foles says, hey, what do you think about the Philly special? Yeah. And just go for it.
Philly special. Yeah. That play will become iconic. It already has, right?
And here's the best part of it. Not only did it happen right before halftime, but also after Tom Brady missed his, he couldn't make the catch.
And on fourth and goal, I mean, that's pretty gutsy. He went for it on fourth down twice in that game and made them both. It was gutsy. But that's what you have to be bold. And I think this city feels like that team represents us well because they're bold, they're brash, they kept their foot on the gas, they never let up, unlike the Atlanta Falcons did last year, right, when they gave up a 28-3 halftime lead. This team did not do that. They trail for just part of a quarter in the second half, 33-32 at some point.
And then they came right back at it. Play for play. They caught the Patriots and Bill Belichick just totally flat-footed.
No, and the Patriots, and Tom Brady said it after the game, we never felt in control the entire time. They kept us on our heels the entire game, and that's the kind of pressure that's what they were doing. They kept the pressure on them. They never felt like they were in the game. And yet at the same time, I always felt like, maybe you did as well, Rosemary, I always felt like we were never out of the game. No. We were always in control. Yep. Sometimes it was a little dicey, but I always felt like we were in full control of that game.
We can't get enough of that Philly special. And actually on the Jumbotrons a little bit further up on the parade route closer to the Art Museum, leading up to this parade, as obviously those double-decker buses are getting closer there, they've been showing the Super Bowl game on repeat.
And people are cheering just as loudly as it happened.
They're crying
like
all
it just
over
happened.
Again. Right. They're losing their voices all over again.
Oh, that is, I think that's unique to Philadelphia. They tape the game, they go watch the game at the stadium, come back, they have it DVR'd, they sit and watch it again in a third and a fourth time, and then they form their opinions. On Monday morning, they're calling the talk shows and expressing their opinions, right? That's what we do.
Here's the thing, though, about that game, iconic in the sense that it was drama. It was just drama, play after play. You couldn't ask for anything better. In the movies, on Broadway, no, we got it Super Bowl Sunday. Are you heading over?
Can you hang on for a second while I run over? I got a little boy that stood there while the crowd has dispersed. He's been standing there waving at me with his hat. He wants signs, so I'm going to run over there real quick.
All right, run over there. Bye. And as we've been looking live at this parade, coming up Broad Street, the crowd in South Philadelphia mostly dispersing. Some people making the trek up Broad, heading toward Broad and Fitzwater. That's where the front of the parade is right now. So they're getting just a little bit closer toward City Hall. They still have quite a few blocks to go. It's a 5-mile trek. And they're making frequent stops. They're slowing down. Earlier, we saw Coach Doug Peterson get off the bus with the Lombardi Trophy, hoisting it in the air to make sure that everybody could see it. He stopped and spoke to us for a quick moment, and he told us this is something that we hope to see for years to come. You heard Vaisika Hema say just a moment ago, this is a young team. So we hope many of these players will stick with the Eagles. Players like Carson Wentz, obviously we're going to be watching his recovery in the offseason. We're going to be watching what Nick Foles does in the offseason. A few days ago in Minneapolis on Monday morning after the Super Bowl, we heard immediately from Doug Peterson and from Nick Foles receiving his MVP award officially, so to speak, the next morning after all of the pomp and circumstance from Super Bowl Sunday. And Nick Foles was diplomatic about it. He said, look, I love Philadelphia. I love being here. I love playing for this team. This is a great organization. You heard Vi say it earlier, when he was out with the Rams, it didn't quite click. Eventually he decided that he was going to stick with the NFL. We've heard the story that he had contemplated quitting, giving it all up. So that Philly special play would have never happened. Potentially Super Bowl Sunday would have never happened, but he decided to stick with it. And as Vi and I had mentioned earlier, Howie Roseman getting a lot of credit for bringing Nick Foles back into the Eagles organization. And he started the season as the backup and ended up as the Super Bowl MVP. This parade, as we mentioned, is going to continue on towards City Hall. It'll take a left on JFK, take a quick right on 16th Street, and then it'll be on the Ben Franklin Parkway, where we know thousands of people are packed. They have packed the streets there, shoulder to shoulder, 8-10 people deep. And then, of course, it's going to end up right there at the Philadelphia Museum of Art. As we're taking a live look from our cameras all along Broad Street, we're looking at Brian Dawkins, B-Doc, incredible Eagles alumnus who, of course, is now a Hall of Famer. And Vi and I were talking about it a little bit earlier. It was a good sign to see that T.O., B-Doc, they were named into the Hall of Fame. It seemed like, well, wait a minute, we got so many things on our side here going into this Super Bowl Sunday. Incredible momentum, incredible energy from the fans. I mean, the fact that you had hundreds, thousands of people leaving the Philadelphia area, making the trek, making the commitment, financial commitment, to head out to Minneapolis, and then we get word about the Hall of Famers. Brian Dawkins, Terrell Owens, it seemed like it was meant to be. Like I said, foregone conclusion. We were just getting some video up a little bit further up the parade route. Vi is back with me now. He was taking some pictures with the fans. We were getting some more video of Brian Dawkins. We saw him on one of the double-decker buses.
Yeah, Brian Dawkins, I believe the bus is at Broad and Fitzwater at this point, and Brian Dawkins at the head of one of those buses. Hall of Fame player, one of the great safeties that's ever played, arguably the best safety that's ever played in the history of the Philadelphia Eagles, came from Clemson. I believe he was a second-round draft pick and probably one of the best picks that they've ever taken in the second round or any round. When you get a Brian Dawkins, when you get somebody that goes to the Hall of Fame, guess what? That's just historic.
And a guy who understands these fans, who appreciates these fans, for better or worse, whether you're winning or losing, he understands these fans, appreciates them, and certainly in Minneapolis when he got word that he was going to be inducted into the Hall of Fame, it was emotional.
He got emotional. He cried. That's the thing about Philadelphians. We want our athletes to show their emotions. We want them to cry. We want them to get mad when it requires it. We want them to, throw stuff.
Kick trash cans. And when they're happy and when they're excited, when they've won, we want them to share the joy that we feel, the exuberance that we feel. And Brian Dawkins certainly did that. I mean, you think back about Coach Dick Vermeil, who sometimes people joked about how emotional too often he got, but that's what we love. Rodney McLeod here, the current Eagles safety, on the bus. We're looking at him, and boy, what a great Super Bowl he had. Rodney McLeod came to us from the Rams, where he was a sure tackler, a hard-hitting tackler, and he certainly gave us that and much more throughout the season. Certainly the Super Bowl, he played a fantastic game. I talked to him right after the game ended, and he told me, he said, everybody doubted us, and we used it as fuel
we use it as fuel because we thought, it's us against the world. That's how we're seeing this. Nobody believes that we're going to do this. And each week they knock somebody off that they weren't supposed to beat. They get to the Super Bowl, and they're underdogs by, 4.5 points against the defending Super Bowl champions, and they took them out. And he said, you know what? Doesn't matter anymore. At this point, we are the world champions. We are the best team in football right now.
Dogged by doubters. They can eat their words right by.
You're looking at the heart of South Philadelphia. I mean, this place here has just been mobbed with people all the way up from Fitzwater to Oregon to Passyunk, iconic roads in the Philadelphia area. People are on their way. They're probably moving northward, but there's so many people here. They've been here all morning long. We got here before anybody was here.
3 o'clock in the morning.
And it started filling up, and it was still dark when they were probably 2-3 deep. By the time the sun came up, they were probably 10-12 deep along the parade route here, just north of Patterson on Broad.
You talk about some of the players, Rodney McLeod, obviously Brandon Graham. When did you realize this was a unique group of athletes, a unique group of men for this team?
There are different points along the way. I mean, they started off, on a winning streak, and it was unfathomable. It was like we can't believe this is a team that was 7-9 last year. And in fact, their starting quarterback, their second-year starting quarterback, had not finished the season exceptionally well. But he came out like gangbusters. Carson Wentz did, and by mid-season we started thinking, you know what, these guys, they're. Having said that, their schedule wasn't, exceptionally strong either. It wasn't. I think when they played the Carolina Panthers, a pretty good team, a pretty formidable opponent with a pretty good quarterback themselves, that they knocked them off, and all of a sudden you started thinking, you know what, this team.
Wait a minute.
This team, we
got something here.
There's something special about this team. But then, of course, December 10th of last year, they go to L.A. And Carson Wentz blows his knee out. And a lot of us, myself included, thought, you know what, season's over.
This is where it ends.
Nick Foles is the backup, but he did not play exceptionally well in the last couple of years that he's been in the league. In fact, he was out of the league for a little while, not quite a year, until he was picked up by the Kansas City Chiefs, where Doug Peterson was the offensive coordinator. And when he stepped in, he came in that game and threw a 3rd and 8 completion in that game to Nelson Aguilar. It was one of those tight throws that only the great quarterbacks make. But I saw that throw and I thought, wow, Nick can still make the throws, but can he carry? Can he win it? Can he win a game by himself? And he showed himself to be able to do that. But he didn't have to do a whole lot because they've got a great defensive team. He's had lots of weapons. And he just sort of carried the day all the way through the playoffs and into the Super Bowl, where he became the MVP. I mean, it was a phenomenal year for him, and certainly he ends up with the MVP. I mean, how many quarterbacks? I mean, how many players end up with it? Well, there's 52. There's 52 Super Bowl MVPs, and he's one of them.
Right, absolutely. Eva, you talk about the season early on, preseason. That was the thing about the Eagles. For the past few years, it's like they'd really show up in the preseason and think, all right, here we go. And then you'd get to the regular season games and, it just wouldn't click. But this year, it obviously proved to be one for the record books.
We're looking at some of the game footage from this year, and you're right. I think we probably have become a little cynical over the years as Eagles fans.
You hold your breath.
They go
4-0.
How many times have we seen seasons when they've gone 4-0 in the preseason, and they get our hopes up, or they play in a game that's really, really well, and it's in the preseason, but we think, you know what? Oh my goodness, they're going to be great, and they get into the regular season, and they just sort of fall apart, and you think, oh, not again. I mean, it happens over and over, but this year,
done,
not
erased,
so much.
Forget it. Here we are, Broad Street. Eagles Parade of Champions, and you heard Doug Peterson say it, expect many more to come. I got to tell you, sun shining, glorious out here. It was a little frigid this morning before the sun came up, but you know what? The weather gods are smiling on us in Philadelphia.
I'm just looking at my watch. It's about 10 minutes of noon. Are we going back to the studio to...
Not yet, Vi. Not yet. But Steve Sosna. Yeah.
Steve Sosna. Okay, I heard Steve Sosna. I wondered if our meteorologist was doing weather, but I know he's covering fans out there. Steve, are you there?
Hey there, Vi. Yeah, I'm covering both, but first, let's just talk about what you're seeing right here. There are almost no words for this. Each little dot, a piece of color that you see, is a human being. It looks like confetti. We have thousands of people of all ages, as we've been speaking of, that span all generations. We've seen very joyous little kids with smiles on their faces, and then we've also seen more jubilant older people that have seen all the heartbreak over the years with the Eagles and now have finally seen their victory all of the way. So look at the crowds, but also look at what Philadelphia has to offer. We're looking at the Art Museum now, where you see a big eagle. As we pan south along the Parkway, you'll be able to see it's not only near the Oval, we have it spanning all the way down to the south there. So you're looking at the Parkway near the Franklin Institute and then where they make that turn. So we'll be looking out for that as soon as they arrive. But by now, it's almost like we've already had the parade here. We've had the Boys to Men singing earlier. They actually replayed the Super Bowl on the big Jumbotron out there. And man, when the final play of the game, they called the game, you should have heard the crowd roar. It was vibrating. We're up on the 14th floor of the Parktown Place apartments here, and what a lovely sight to be.
All right, Steve Sosna along the parade route for us.
Steve Sosna, man, and we're talking about the weather. I was talking about Steve, and it's almost noon, and it almost feels like noon. It's so warm. We're taking a look here at Broad and Passyunk as the parade moves further north. Along the parade route, people are on their way there, and some are just, I guess they've seen what they wanted to see, but I've got a feeling that tons more are just moving northward, migrating
north.
Birds migrating. They're all wearing green, and they're moving north because they want to be in position at the Parkway, it's already filled, but I think it's getting filled. It's there are more and more people who are getting there because they want to be there for the presentation of the trophy. They want to hear the speeches. They're going to hear from dignitaries. Mm-hmm. I believe Governor Wolf is going to be there. Mayor Kenny.
Yes,
certainly will be there. He's not going to miss that.
Hey, don't forget Mayor Kenny, who wasn't going to let superstition get the better of him. He would not announce any parade route plans before the W because of what happened the last time the Eagles faced the Patriots, right, Vi?
2004. Bill Belichick famously put up a slide and showed his team the night before and said, this is what they're doing in Philadelphia. They have a parade route. They've already mapped it out, and they're planning their parade. Well, everybody does that. Right. Everybody. You can't just, plan a parade in 2 days. It has to be mapped out. But he showed his team that, and, of course, his team got riled up, and it probably contributed to, their championship win that season.
He said it. He was like, if you want to join them, here's where they're going to be tomorrow. So this live look at the parade route right now, you can see Swoop waving to the crowd. You can see a ton of confetti. They've just been shooting that confetti out of cannons, so to speak.
I think there were 3 or 4 of those vehicles with confetti. I almost tripped over. Thanks for catching me. I was leaned over and
don't worry, we're not on camera.
The flags, confetti, it is all over the place. This is going to take quite a cleanup by the city to, clean up the confetti and things that are left here. But you know what? I think it's well worth it, and I don't think the city minds at all that they've, they have probably add an extra trash day to come pick this stuff up.
And you know what? People have been celebrating responsibly, safely. They've been happy, jubilant, friendly. So I think Mayor Kenny, who called the few people who were misbehaving on Sunday night knuckleheads, I think they slept in for this one, or they've reformed their ways.
Here's a look at some shopping districts along Broad Street. Thousands. There's Doug Peterson, the head coach. Nick Foles, the quarterback who's standing there on top of that bus next to Carson Wentz, the owner there as well, Jeffrey Lurie. What a jubilant day. What a jubilant day for everybody involved and everyone in the organization, everybody among the fans and the fan base, the staff. It's one of those days that's picture perfect. You couldn't ask for a better weather day. I'm glad they didn't have it yesterday. That decision was made also because of the weather. But just a remarkable, remarkable day.
They've been hoisting that trophy all along this parade route. Really just giving the fans what they want, giving them a glimpse of this huge triumph for the city of Philadelphia, the underdog story, which I think safe to say, I can say this as a native Philadelphian, it's an underdog story. It's been with us for a long time. I mean, Rocky certainly the movie Rocky epitomizes it, and here we are, no longer underdogs. And I got to say, I've been talking to people about this a lot. Philadelphia is just riding a wave. I mean, from the DNC Pope visit, you got the Super Bowl, the NFL draft, and now this. Philadelphia is riding a wave, and we're going with it. Speaking of that, the draft, of course, next year. In fact, this is in the spring, in April, the draft will be held in Dallas. They announced that. And I heard tons of people who told me that what they will love about watching the draft is when they announce the 31st pick goes to the world champion Super Bowl winning. That is fitting. Maybe
in Dallas. Right. When they announce on their turf that the world champion
thank you very
Philadelphia
much,
Eagles.
Chris Long. And my goodness, did you expect it to be like this?
I knew Philly would come to play today, man. This city is awesome. This kind of embodies the way they bring it every Sunday, and now this is all of our day, man. We share this together.
How cool is it you see people hanging out of their bedroom windows, people in trees?
I love this city, man. I'm in love with this city, man. Everybody that came out here today, I feel so much love for this city, man. It's unbelievable.
How special is it to know that you're a big part of bringing this city the first Super Bowl ever, delivering it to them here?
It's special, man. I mean, just to be a part of it. There'll never be another first parade here for football, man, and it's going to be a special day. It's just getting started, and we all share this together because they wait a lot longer than the guys that have been on this team. Even the longest tenured guys. People have been waiting 40 years for this, man, and we appreciate y'all.
Tell everybody out there, I know you are in your first year here with the Eagles. There's a bunch of people in their first year, but how close is this team, togetherness of this team?
Unbelievably close. You don't overcome what we overcame this year and did what we did. Everybody counted us out. We lost Carson, JP, Sproles, Hicks, Marigot, Sturgis, a number of guys, man, and we kept on fighting, man, and that means we're brothers.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much. World champs, baby!
All right, let's send it back to you.
All right, John. We're in the midst of taking some pictures with some of Philadelphia's finest. Some of the officers.
All right.
The new saying, by the way, when you take a picture, Philly. Hey, Lieutenant, can we talk to you real quick? Oh, absolutely. All right. So tell us about the crowds this morning. Tell us about. Yeah, we're live. Yeah, talk to us.
Come on. Come on over, officers. Let's go. Come on.
Tell us about the crowds this morning. Tell us about the work you've been doing.
It was absolutely wonderful. They were very well behaved, a good family fun. It was wonderful, and they left peacefully. We're very happy about that.
No trouble from any of the people that were here today?
Not at all.
No, not at this end. It's getting a little chaotic closer to the art museum, but so far it's been great right here.
You work the streets of Philadelphia day in and day out. Describe what this day is like, seeing the whole city come together for one purpose.
You know what? The camaraderie was fabulous. I love it. I love to see all of our people getting along. Everyone's having a good time. No one's, at least at this end, no one's behaving badly. I love it. Everyone's here just for a good time, and that's wonderful.
We're being told that the Lombardi Trophy is being hoisted on the team buses. It's moving further north. But are you guys Eagles fans? To McClendon over there,
all right,
off camera.
Real quickly, so you guys obviously you had to work the parade, same as us. We're working, but obviously I'm sure you were looking to get a few pictures in, get some video in. So who is at the top of your list?
Well, maybe our quarterback might have been nice.
Nick Foles, yeah.
And a picture picture with the trophy. I couldn't.
You did?
I wanted.
Oh, you had hoped
I would have
to.
liked
Yeah.
it. It would be great. So,
Yeah.
All right. Well,
All right,
thank
officers,
you
we
so much
appreciate
for
you.
your
We
service.
appreciate your
Thank you for
service.
being
Stay
out
safe,
here,
all right?
keeping the peace.
Take care. All right. Let's toss it over to our colleagues, Jacqueline London and Glenn Hurricane Schwartz standing by. Hey, guys.
Hey. Glenn's jamming a little bit because it is a concert here on the Parkway. About every hit that you can imagine is being played while all the people here on the Ben Franklin Parkway are taking a look at the Jumbotrons and the parade headed this way. What a change it's going to be as they continue to make their way down Broad Street.
Yeah, they showed, of course, the whole Super Bowl game on all the Jumbotrons earlier with the crowds going crazy whenever they made a great play or a touchdown or that long pass or the freak play at the end.
It was so nice to relive it that way.
Now it's jamming to the music and waiting for the Eagles to come up here.
Imagine what it's going to be like when the players, we see them on the 24 buses as they continue to make their way through South Philly on Broad Street. What it's going to be like as they begin to approach City Hall and make that turn, because we just know how many more people there are when it approaches that area.
When you're going down Broad Street, there's like 20 deep, okay? Now we got about 1,000 deep.
1,000 deep, exactly.
On each side, you got people on top of the fountains and the balconies and the buildings surrounding us. And it's getting warmer out here. It's getting more comfortable.
It is, because we know how bad the weather was yesterday, and you said that it was going to be dry today, and because of the sun that's out here, it really is fairly pleasant for people as long as they're dressed appropriately.
Yeah, and especially out here in the open where you don't have the big buildings to block you, block that beautiful sunshine. That really makes a difference.
We suck. Taking tight shots of the people there in the crowd. They are bundled up as they should be with their hats and the gloves, but everyone wearing green in some form or fashion, donning the Eagles gear to show their support for this team. And it's interesting, with the Super Bowl, when you heard from those players right there on the field at US Bank Stadium, they all mentioned, as great as it was to be there right there on the field, they could not wait to get here to Broad Street. They could not wait to get here and celebrate with the people of Philadelphia, and they did it for them, they said.
Yeah. And in a way, even the Super Bowl game was a home game because the number of Philly fans in the stands was so much more than the New England fans, plus so much louder. You know, we have 50-plus years waiting for this.
Yes. There's a guy without a shirt. I don't think it's that warm, even though the sun is beaming out here. That might be a little extreme.
You're right.
But indeed, you're absolutely right. When we were walking around US Bank Stadium, it was like a home game. And we know how hard the Eagles fought to get that home field advantage leading up to the NFC Championship games, because they know how well they do at home and when they have a crowd surrounding them, supporting them.
Yeah, it really shows you what a great amount of importance it is to having the best record. And when you look back, that 61-yard field goal early in the season, that could have meant a difference between having the home game against Minneapolis or having to go to Minneapolis for that championship game.
And that makes a big difference for this team, the team that is so unified. They love having that support around them. And just look at the support right now on Broad Street, and all the people have poured out. Nearly 2 million people estimated to be out here. People taking the day off, people canceling work, everything is shut down because they knew this is what the city wanted, and the city has waited 56 years for this.
And people coming out here last night, camping out.
Yes.
When we were driving down here, and we were here pretty early, 7 in the morning. And as we're coming down to Kelly Drive, you have those little parking areas. Every one of them was totally overflowed that early. And I'm sure people made certain plans assuming that they could find some places to park, and then were unpleasantly surprised when they found out that other people were there 2 hours earlier. And now they have to go searching elsewhere, go to plan B and C.
Yes, when we were approaching the 11 o'clock news last night, we did not think we would see people out here on the Ben Franklin Parkway that early, but 10 p.m. last night, people were out here. 11 p.m. last night, people were out here gathered wanting to get the perfect seat to be out here 13 hours before the parade approaches here for the ceremony to start at 1 o'clock.
Well,
13 hours of tailgating.
I think 13 hours is worth it after 50 plus years.
Yes.
I mean, I started following the Eagles back in the early 60s, so I missed the 1960 championship game, all right? Yeah, and then as soon as I start watching, the Eagles are doing terrible, and they win 2 games in a season or 3 games in a season. And even with that, the stadium was packed. We were just going to Franklin Field to watch, and I would take the subway to go down, and then you got to walk the rest of the way with hundreds and hundreds of other people. It doesn't matter if it's 10 below 0. The team only has 3 wins, but you know, like one day things are going to change, and it didn't. And it was just so frustrating.
Right.
And the only way I could get into Franklin Field, because I couldn't afford the tickets, they're still expensive back then, was to sell sodas at the ballpark. And I was there every Sunday back in the middle of the winter selling cold Cokes.
And a lot of the people we're watching right now who are on the rooftops watching this parade, they've endured the same. They have watched it for these decades, wanting this moment. And they were looking at Swoop, the cheerleaders on the fire truck, surrounded by Philadelphia police making their way.
And they're showing that same picture down here on the Jumbotrons so they can tell that the parade is making progress and they're coming this way. And look, it's so nice outside. The weather's gotten so much better. I think it makes for a little better patience rather than if it was really bad or windy and cold or raining like yesterday where like you can't wait to get.
It really is such a festive atmosphere. And I think regardless of the weather, the people of Philadelphia would have made this a festive atmosphere anyway. And just as you see people on the rooftops and you see the confetti coming down, walking here on the Ben Franklin Parkway, I saw people up in the trees. They had climbed up into the trees, and that's where they thought it would be a great place to have their spot. Carson Wentz. Well, we see Carson Wentz with the Vince Lombardi right behind him, being held by Coach Doug Peterson.
We're happy to bring that trophy back where it belongs, and that's where it belongs here in Philly.
Is it better or bigger than you imagined?
I tell you what, man, that game was way bigger than us. It's bigger than this city. I mean, it's for this city. And you see how happy everybody is, and man, we just living in the moment and enjoying it.
Do you get a sense that life changes for you from this moment on? You're known around the world now.
Being legendary, baby. That's what we do. That's what's our motto.
Do you love Doug Peterson's attitude? After the game, he said, hey, we want to do this again. We want to go back again and do it again.
That's got to be a mentality. Aggressive, the way he coached, everything he do, his swag. Everybody love it, man. And look, right now, we're celebrating the Super Bowl, baby.
World champs, baby! Let's go! Back to you. Thank you, Fletcher. Appreciate it.
Fletcher Cox, the world champs. So exciting with Chris Long decked out in the fur behind him. Who John Clark interviewed just a short while ago.
Number 92 on a tribute to Reggie White. I can just imagine that any young player or a defensive lineman would look to him.
Broaden Reed in South Philly is what we're looking at right now. But yeah, I think we're going to see a lot of those players wearing those throwback jerseys. The players who they watched, paying tribute, they paved the way for them to be here. They looked up to them as role models playing the sport. So what better day to pay tribute to them than today during this Parade of Champions?
Yeah, there's so many players, great players, back in the past. Back in the 60s and the 70s and the 80s and the 90s. I mean, just so many decades and so many great players, but not enough great players at the same time, or along with a great coach at the same time to make it come together. And there really weren't that many close calls. They only got to the Super Bowl twice since the merger. Since, we're Super Bowl 52.
Yes.
And we're
it
only
took us this long.
Right. And so it just makes it that much much sweeter. And you know, some of the players from the past are getting excited about this because they're part of it too, in a way.
And we just saw Coach Peterson holding the Vince Lombardi trophy. And Coach Peterson really has connected with these players in a way that Chip Kelly could not. And there is such a different team right now.
The anti-Chip, yeah. But who would have expected this guy with virtually no coaching experience, no college, no pro, none of that, as a head coach? And look, you got to give Jeff Lurie and his group credit to be able to hire somebody like this and have faith in them.
Yes.
And to totally transform the offense the way they did, and just hand it over to him. And then this guy acting like there's no pressure at all. And he doesn't tighten up when it gets close or when it gets to the big game, like Atlanta did last year. They had 28-3, and they blow it because they were playing not to lose. Exactly. And this guy is charging ahead the whole time. I mean, it's just what we want them to do. All these years, you know, fourth down, you want them to go for it. You want them to go for it.
So often they just kick.
He goes for it.
Fourth and goal. I said, we're going to do this play. We are going for it, and they got it.
And he's not just going for it because he's got a instinct or reflex. He has statistics. He believes in this analytic stuff that proves that if you go for it on fourth down in certain situations, your odds are better for winning.
Some confetti coming down. So many people. When we saw the confetti coming down at US Bank Stadium, they were asking us to scoop it up and take the confetti back. But now this confetti here on Broad Street, that's going to be just as highly coveted.
Yeah. Did you grab any of that in
I grabbed a lot. Do you want me to give some to you? I have some. I definitely will.
Oh, I'll go frame it and put it up.
I'll give you a bag. But what a moment. Dance party is what it is. When you look at all these players on these championship buses headed down Broad Street, it is a party. It's a party here on the Parkway. They're playing every single hit, the throwback hits, the current hits, and the players have been wanting this for such a long time.
Yeah, but they really don't have any idea what they're about to hit.
No,
when
they don't.
Get down to Ben Franklin Parkway.
This sea of green is unlike anything we have seen before. Estimates much larger than the Pope's gathering here on the Parkway.
Except when the Pope was here, nobody was chanting E-A-G-L, right?
Right.
Wait till they start with this. This is going to be the loudest chant. Like Fletcher Cox was saying, they're going to hear this in New York.
Yes. Brandon Graham was saying that
loud.
too. You're going to hear this in New York. You're going to hear this in D.C. Taking a close look right there as one of the championship buses makes its way.
And it's nice that they can share it with their families, just like the Phillies did in 2008. That was such a great time, a great moment, some incredible players. But Philadelphia is a football town, and it always has been, and it probably always will be. And the idea that this is not a fluke. This is not a fluke team. This is not a fluke coach. And they're in a great position to do great in the future too.
And when Carson Wentz went out with that injury, a lot of people didn't know what was going to happen. You were very confident all along. You said Nick Foles can handle this. Look, Nick Foles has proven himself.
Right. That's the one thing Chip Kelly helped, is that we got to see Nick Foles under a system that made him look the best. And when he was comfortable and confident, he was incredible. He was very, very accurate. And if you notice in the Super Bowl, Tom Brady had wide open receivers. He didn't throw some of his passes were not that good, but still got completed because his guys were so wide open.
And looking at the shot, gorgeous shot there of Nick Foles with his little girl after the Super Bowl win. And Nick Foles got emotional earlier in the week talking about his daughter and his wife.
Right. That got to him, but the pressure of the Super Bowl didn't
absolutely
get to him.
What does that tell you?
Can you imagine being able to be so calm when you have a crowd the way that was, and knowing that you got 100 million people watching, and that the game depends on you? Doesn't matter how great your defense plays. If you can't score points, you can't win.
And he had never been on that stage before. Tom Brady had time and time and time again with success. And for Nick Foles to never be on that grand stage of the Super Bowl.
And where was Tom Brady at the end of that game? Congratulating Nick Foles? No.
Right.
Where did he go?
Right.
He just walked out.
Exactly. Yeah.
You know, maybe they'll get more experience in losing in the future, and they'll figure out what to do.
And you know what made the Phillies special even better? Was that they got it when Tom Brady didn't.
Oh, right.
Right?
Yeah.
Tom Brady attempted the same but could not make that catch. Nick Foles did.
Look, and Chris Collinsworth, as many mistakes as he made during the game, when that play was run, we just watched the replay, so it's fresh in my mind. He said that may be one of the greatest plays in the history of the Super Bowl. And he evaluated that instantly, and we knew that instantly. And it's the greatest play in Eagles history. There's no question about it, and it's one of the great plays in Super Bowl history.
I believe Peter said that it was from a Bears play. The Chicago Bears had a similar play, and that's where he got it. But it clearly worked for them. You could see Nick Foles acting a little bit, too. There we go. The Caravan making its way down Broad Street. You can see in the upper left-hand corner of your screen those fans who were so amped up, who have been waiting a long time to be right there on that barrier, on that fence, to be as close as possible when the bus passes by with their favorite players on it, to cheer on them and chant "Fly, Eagles, fly."
And even, you know, if people couldn't go to the Super Bowl or couldn't even go to games during the regular season, it costs a lot of money to go to these things. But not to be out in this, and you can feel and be a part of all of this, and say 20, 30 years from now that you were here, you were part of this celebration, even if you didn't get a chance to go right inside and see the game.
Exactly, part of history. And I know so many people who flew in from out of town to be right there on Broad Street today. They couldn't make it to the Super Bowl. They couldn't make it here for the NFC Championship game, but they wanted to be here. And this moment is clearly just as special and unifying with all of the people. And the moment that they wanted. Let's go down to John Clark.
And better than you expected? Yeah, it is. I mean, you dream about it and you think about what it might be, but I mean, this has been amazing. It's been a fourth down roar since we turned on to Broad Street out of the stadium, so it's incredible.
Do you think the players and the coaches and everybody are starting to realize that they really brought the first Super Bowl to this city?
Yes, I think it was hard being, we were such in our own cocoon, focused on the playoffs, focused on the Super Bowl, and you're away, and you come home, and you can't really absorb the enormity of it until like today, and then you see just how much it means to everybody in this city.
How special is it when you look at the faces? I'm looking at faces out here. Everyone is smiling, and you see the joy that the Eagles have brought to this city.
That's exactly the way I would describe it. It's pure joy. It's millions of people all celebrating one thing, and
team president with John Clark. Sorry we lost that.
Cable.
Yes. Oh, and we hear the Eagles chant, and the gorgeous, huge American flag draping over some of those buses carrying the players down Broad Street.
Now the street's getting wider. We're getting closer to home here.
And we saw so many of the touchdown celebrations with the Eagles against the Chicago Bears. And we thought that we would see a lot more of those touchdown celebrations in the games after, but we didn't. We saw so many that game. But even during the Super Bowl, when there were many moments where there could have been celebrations after touchdown, after touchdown, after touchdown. But you even saw Jeffrey Lurie up in the box trying to calm people down, saying, easy, easy, not just yet. It was as if they all gathered together and say, let's wait. Let's celebrate after the game. Let's celebrate after the win. Let's make sure we get it, because we know that the Patriots have been here before and they don't give up. Today is the day we can celebrate. Sunday was the day we can.
That, especially with wide receivers, when they score touchdowns, they tend to celebrate by themselves. You know,
Yes.
Des Bryant, oh, it's all about me. But with the Eagles, when they would score the touchdowns, they would all gather together.
Yes.
And all the receivers, the offensive linemen, the defense after the interception doing the electric slide.
Yes, the home run celebration with the baseball.
Right, but that all just shows more and more teamwork.
Yes.
That's not something that you would see in Dallas, for example.
Right. It's not about the individual, it's about the team as a whole.
Right. And frankly, that's not something you would have seen with T.O. when he was with the Eagles. And that was one of the problems that they had in that last run, that they weren't as full of a team and as balanced as they were back then. They relied just on a couple of superstars, and that isn't necessarily enough to beat New England.
And you can see there how deep that crowd goes. 10 deep right there when they get to the Parkway, 1,000 deep.
Yeah.
The players have a lot to look forward to.
I'm sure, they've shown the pictures from the chopper, and that people at home know what's coming. But I'm not sure that the players do, because, they're on the buses. They only see what they can see with their eyes. And when they come up here, and it's not just the sight of the number of people, it's the enthusiasm of all of these people. Some of them, like me, we've waited literally over 50 years to be able to celebrate a championship. But even the people of my generation have taught our children, and the children have taught their children about the struggles and how difficult this is and how rare this is and how special this is. And so it makes it that much greater for them, too. They're going to get spoiled now. They're going to want championships every other year.
I know. People are already talking about, we have a two-peat, a three-peat, or maybe we should just enjoy this. Enjoy this right now. But next year, we're not sure that Carson will be ready for the first game or the second game of the next season, but they're going to be a very good team next year, as long as everyone is still on this team.
Yeah, I know somebody was they were talking on the radio and trying to rate the quarterbacks in the NFC East and in our division, and they said, Carson Wentz is number one, Nick Foles is number two, or reversed, and all the other quarterbacks are below that. We got the two best quarterbacks.
And we're getting a close look in your upper left-hand corner of your screen. Some of the players there on top of the bus.
Yeah, they're dancing.
They are dancing. They are cheering. They are so happy for this moment.
Just warming up for...
I believe that's Chris Long with the fur and the shades, because the sun is bright. They want this moment to last forever. Oh, Allen, Derek Barnett, also on top of that bus.
He made that great fumble recovery.
Yes.
And that was one of the plays of the game.
One of the incredible plays.
And Nick Foles predicted that. Watching it, and you really should watch the Inside the NFL show on Showtime. And they have NFL Films mics up the players, and just before that play happened, Nick Foles is on the sideline telling his offensive line, "Get ready, guys, we're about to have a turnover." And seconds later, there's a turnover.
You can see people there on the rooftops, rooftop of that white building. People gathering. People said, you know what? We are going to watch this parade any way we can and from the best vantage point. And sometimes that is the roof of a building right there. No one blocking their sight of this incredible history-making scene.
So they have 24 buses, is that right?
Yes, 24 buses carrying the players. They're spread out with their family and friends.
And now they're stopped. Come on, guys. You got a million people here.
Maybe they're trying to rest up before they approach the largest crowds. But really, this is... You imagine they're going to be filled with so much emotion, too, as they get closer. And as they approach this stage here for the ceremony that's starting at 1 o'clock. So much emotion. I'm sure it was surreal. After the Super Bowl, they couldn't believe that this was happening. The days after it, and then today, the culmination of it all.
Well, just remember, a couple of them specifically talked about the parade. Yes. Jason Kelce.
Oh, he's so emotional.
Oh, if you haven't seen that clip of him talking right on the field, the raw emotion of that, he was talking about the parade and the party and sharing it with the fans. Look, a team that was suffering for a lot of years can identify with fans that are suffering for a lot of years, too.
And they say the fans helped them get here, the support of the fans. And many of the players did it for the fans. It was mutual, a give and take.
Well, those two games that they played in Los Angeles against the Chargers and the Rams, they said they were like home games.
Yes.
That there were so many Eagles fans in the stands that it really felt like a home game. And the Chargers had to go to a silent count, which is what you do when you're the away team. And the noise is so high.
Right. We traveled. Why? Because we were so hungry. We've wanted this for so long. And why did people travel to Minneapolis? Because they knew they would win. They knew it. They said they had a different feeling about this than they did in 2005 playing in Jacksonville up against the Patriots. They said this year there was something different.
That's right. I wrote about that, remember, months ago. And there was a term that the broadcaster Gary Cobb, former Eagle, brought up many, many years ago. He called us Negadelphia because we think negatively because we're so used to losing. And this is different. All of a sudden, there's this optimism that we know that we're going to do it.
I believe that's Doug Peterson. The view from the top of the bus, Coach Doug Peterson. Earlier, he was holding the Vince Lombardi, waving to fans.
Right, we get these views because we're the official Eagles station, so we get the exclusive positioning in that. And
we're the only ones on the buses.
Right.
You won't get these views anywhere else.
Yeah, call and tell your friends that this is the place to watch it because you're not going to get scenes like this.
You won't get this vantage point anywhere else. And Coach Doug Peterson really fostering so much good with his teammates, talking about how he loved to give them ice cream. And after the team meetings, he would always say, ice cream is coming up, ice cream is coming up. Yeah. But sometimes those little things
I can identify
mean so much.
with that.
Yeah, you can. There are some fans, little kids out here. So excited.
But
getting closer to City Hall.
Getting back to that optimism, that is so different. Like after the 64 Phillies, that was like the first experience that I had with sports, and such disappointment. And we were so sure it was going to win, and then it collapsed. And it's happened year after year after year. And we've been favored in Super Bowls and championship games and lost, did not play up to par. And so you develop this attitude that, we're not going to make this third down, or the other team's going to come back. But now, all of a sudden, this year, it's the total opposite. Like, it's third down. That's no problem. We got Wentz. And then when Wentz goes down, that's okay. Foles will take care of it. And then he does.
And Wentz works so closely with Foles.
Yeah, that's kind of rare, too. Just think about somebody who is taking your team that you know that you're going to lead to the Super Bowl, and then he's taking it over and moving on with it and being a successful.
And Coach Peterson has that Vince Lombardi shiny trophy in his hands again as the confetti falls down. Oh, right there you can see the beautiful shot above the crowds, the tight shot of Doug Peterson and the Vince Lombardi.
Oh, listen.
What a beautiful image. Pointing up probably to people on the rooftops.
There's some skywriting I think he might be pointing to also.
And you saw so many players pointing up to the sky too after the Super Bowl win.
Balconies. Confetti
everyone on their balconies. This exclusive image here on NBC 10 because NBC 10 is your official Eagles station. Right there, Doug Peterson smiles for days. Howie Roseman right there now hoisting that Vince Lombardi trophy.
Right, and there was a guy who is being run out of town who was humiliated by Chip and stayed there, and then he ends up doing this incredible job getting all these players.
And we see John Clark right there, possibly trying to get an interview with another player. Hey, John. Hey, John, who do you have? Let's go down to John Clark right down on Broad Street. Hey, John.
Yeah.
He may not be able to hear us, but maybe we'll just
watching Doug Peterson. He just held up the Lombardi Trophy to the fans, pumping his fist. Hey, Doug, we are live to the world right now. How special was that when you actually got off the bus and let the Eagles fans along the parade route touch the Lombardi Trophy?
You know, that's what it's all about. That's why we get in this business, obviously, to put ourselves in a position to win the Super Bowl. This is a great team, special team, and to come out here today and just kind of give a little bit back to the city of Philadelphia and these fans means a lot.
You were here as a quarterback 20 years ago and coached here. Did you imagine it would be this big?
You know what? You never know what to expect in the city of Philadelphia. This is just tremendous. This is great. These people love, obviously, these players and this organization, and we're just happy that we can, have this Lombardi Trophy here in Philadelphia.
To be the head coach that delivers the first Super Bowl to this great city of Philadelphia, how special is that to you?
It's very special. Obviously, something that will stick with me the rest of my life, the rest of my career. I'm just so happy and honored to be a part of the success that we had this year, and it's kind of a dream come true.
You realize the moment you won the Super Bowl in this parade, your life changes forever, right?
That's what they say. And after watching today, it might change a little bit.
Everybody was so impressed with you the day after when you spoke about, we're not done. This city has always had a little inferiority complex, a little insecurity. You are now setting a new norm for this town, aren't you?
That's what I want to do, and Mr. Lurie hired me for a reason, and this is obviously the beginning steps. Why can't we, as the Philadelphia Eagles, why can't we go back to the Super Bowl? Why can't we have more than one opportunity? And we're just so excited to bring the first one here, and hopefully many more.
And they are chucking footballs from, oh my goodness, this is insane.
This is crazy. I love it.
Congratulations to you.
Thank you very much.
Thanks a lot, Doug.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
This man delivered a Super Bowl to Philadelphia. No one has stopped smiling. And by the way, I've seen him taking just as many pictures and videos of everybody else as they are of you.
I'm going to remember this the rest of my life. I'm going to document it somehow.
Awesome. Thanks a lot, Doug. Appreciate it. All right, let's send it back to you.
John Clark with Coach Peterson. What a moment.
Who would have thought? I know. Look, you knew that Carson Wentz was going to be a superstar. They had other great players. Roseman got some other great players. But Peterson, that's the surprise. I'm even more surprising than Foles to me, because Foles proved himself with Chip Kelly. He's in the Hall of Fame already. 7 touchdown passes in 1 game. So, you know he's capable of it. Who knew that this guy would be capable of coaching this team?
The unexpected. By far.
That's as unexpected as anything seen in sports. Because generally speaking, you know, for a coach, you got to work your way up. You know, you coach high school, and then you coach college, and then you're assistant in the pros.
Approaching City Hall, you see the bike patrol right there. Before long, Coach Peterson and the 24 buses will be rounding City Hall and making their way down the Ben Franklin Parkway. A shot right there of City Hall as we await the caravan.
Yeah, they're just making that turn, so you know that they're on their way here. And
we're going to go to a break right now before the buses get closer to our location here at the steps of the Art Museum. Eagles Parade of Champions with exclusive access cameras that you'll only see right here on NBC 10. We're right back.
Champions, presented by Toyota, proud partner of the Eagles. Let's go places.
Taking a live look right now. Believe that's Carson Wentz up top on the far right of your screen. Other players there can't quite make out who they are.
It's not snowing, that's confetti.
That is confetti. And Doug Peterson there, who we just heard talking to John Clark, still holding the Vince Lombardi. During that interview, Doug Peterson said, Jeffrey Lurie brought me on for a reason. Right now, let's go down to John Clark with Jeffrey Lurie, Chairman and CEO of the Super Bowl champ Philadelphia Eagles. John.
Jeffrey, we are going out to the world right now. We are going up to City Hall in this great city of Philadelphia. I believe you were 9 years old when Philadelphia won their last NFL championship. 57-year wait. How special does it feel that you delivered this to this city?
You know, it means everything to me, and it means everything to this incredible city, our fans. This is beyond belief. The support, the love here between the team and this city, it's indescribable to the rest of the world. Nobody could understand it.
Is anybody working today?
I would hope not.
I know that over the years you said you've been obsessed with bringing this to the city in your years of ownership. And I know you were knocking on the door with Andy Reid in that era. Is it almost a little more gratifying and special to go through some of the tough times and be close and then get it now?
No doubt about it. I mean, when you're close so many times, to finally be able to win the Super Bowl championship is just, I'm speechless.
You know, we've seen Eagles fans go put Eagles paraphernalia on their parents' graves or their grandparents' graves. So many special things with families.
Yeah.
Has there been certain things that have really touched your heart about how much this has meant to people?
Well, you know, it's interesting because I keep my dad's watch with me today in my inside pocket. And when I was 9 years old, that's when he passed away. So it means everything to me, and he's here with me today. And he'd be so proud.
And your dad's watch was with you for the Super Bowl, and I believe there were certain moments in the game where maybe he helped.
I rubbed it as often as I could, especially in the fourth quarter. Right before Brandon Graham's sack, before Ertz's touchdown, all through the fourth quarter. If it helped, it helped, but we won.
To sum it up, as we go by City Hall, what an amazing sight, Jeff. Sum it up for everybody in Philadelphia, how special it is to you, the emotion and the attachment between everyone in this city.
You know, John, there's no words to really describe this. The love and the adoration for the Eagles and Philadelphia together, there's no words.
Well, Philadelphia says thank you. Those are words I'm sure you've heard.
Appreciate that. We love Philadelphia. We love our fans. And the city so deserves this, and our fans so deserve this.
Enjoy the rest of this, Jeff. Congratulations.
Thank you very
much. This is the man who brought a Super Bowl to the city of Philadelphia. He bought this team 25 years ago, obsessed.
And John Clark with Jeffrey Lurie as we see the championship buses passing right by the Ritz-Carlton Hotel.
There we saw City Hall right in the background.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, he's owned the team for a long time, and he had a lot of criticism over the years about what coach he would hire or not coach, or what draft choices they would get, and that what the coaches and the players say who know him is that's all he wanted was a championship.
Admittedly, Jeffrey Lurie said, I am obsessed with getting a Vince Lombardi for this team. It became an obsession.
And then you have this rivalry with other owners. I'm sure. You imagine Jerry Jones, how many times he rubbed it in to Jeff Lurie? Probably seeing what Jerry Jones is like, you could just imagine that every time he saw him, there would be one little comment, nudge.
Yes.
Like, oh yeah, I remember when we won that third Super Bowl. And now he gets back at him.
Right. And now we have ours. The city of Philadelphia has a championship, the best in the world. Let's go down to Brittany Shipp, who's right near that area at Broad and Walnut. Brittany.
Not only am I near it, I am in the thick of all the action. Take a look at what we are seeing right now, and the crowd is going wild as all the players continue to go by. Take a look. It is such an exciting time. I think I just saw someone open a bottle of champagne right here on this bus. So we have Trey Burton. He just passed by. There's confetti flying everywhere. It has just been an incredible feeling to see the entire city of Philadelphia come out to show pride for their Super Bowl champions. Oh my God, this is so exciting, and it's bringing everyone together.
G-L-E-S, Eagles. I've waited all my life for this. I'm so happy. I am so happy I got to be here today. We got up at 4 in the morning. We got the Fern Rock at 5. We've been here freezing our tailheads off. E-A-G-L-E-S, Eagles.
All right, the parade just went by. Amazing. Let's go, Birds!
All the way from Atlanta. We love you, Eagles. Thank you. Bring us another one next year.
Yeah, let's do it all over again next year.
World champions. Let's go, one of many more. Number 1, baby. Fly, Eagles, fly. Fly, Eagles, fly, baby. E-S-E-L-E-S, Eagles.
All right, Brittany Shipp with excited fans there right at Broad and Walnut as the Parade of Champions continues. Let's go down to George Spencer, who's also right down there near City Hall. George.
Jacqueline, the roar of this crowd just absolutely erupted as these buses made the corner here. We're right on the northwest corner of City Hall. They're turning onto JFK, as you see here, and we could hear them approaching as the roar of the crowd was just on the south side of City Hall. But as it has arrived here, these people who have been waiting for hours just erupting in cheers, and you can see these buses that are passing in front of us right now, all a part of the greater Eagles organization. For these fans to see these people up close after what they delivered on Sunday night, it is a moment that many of these fans have waited decades for, as we've been saying. And many of them have been out here for hours in the cold waiting for this. The ticker tape flying here around City Hall on JFK Boulevard. And the sound of this crowd is the sound of Philly vindication, Philly faithful who have been waiting for this for years. It is a powerful moment here on the ground at JFK Boulevard.
George, I can't imagine what that crowd is like as the Parade of Champions approach City Hall. People who have been out there for hours waiting for this moment, George.
To describe as the green and white ticker tape just flies through the air here like snowfall. Philadelphia police on every front, keeping everyone safe, and the energy around this Eagles team as they make it past this moment in the parade route. We're a little bit more than halfway. Their energy on these buses is really commendable, rather amazing after they've made it all the way up from the stadiums to this point. It is freezing. We're in the shade here, but nobody is minding as this rain of green and white ticker videotape flows down on the streets of Center City, Philadelphia. People have waited a long time to see this, to be able to see their Eagles on these buses in a Super Bowl championship parade. And this is the heart of the parade. This is the moment that so many people have been waiting generations to experience. And this rumble out here on the ground, the absolute flow of energy that you can kind of just feel through your whole body. I'm looking at the faces of the crowd out here, and everyone is just eating it up. This is their moment. And the roar, if you can hear it in the background, surely you can, the roar of this crowd is unbelievable.
And George, it really is such a pleasant, joyous, festive, safe celebration. We saw some isolated incidents right after the Super Bowl win of people pouring onto Broad Street and some vandalism that happened. But we have nearly 2 million people out here. We have to point out how peaceful and happy this celebration is.
Oh, Jacqueline, it's stunning. I mean, people, there is so much, I would just say, sheer joy among the people who are out here today. As you said, a handful of incidents, of course, on Sunday night. And there have been, some minor stuff happening today. But the amount of Philadelphia police who have just mobilized across this parade route to keep us all safe is amazing. These people here right around City Hall get an amazing view to be able to see these buses. This is an area where people are especially close as they make the turn here by City Hall and up past Love Park. Everyone is just eating it up, and Philadelphia police absolutely doing their part to keep us safe. The bus is actually taking a pause here for a moment while this huge crowd of people just cheering in the background. We saw people hopping off the buses in South Philadelphia. They're doing it again here. Some of these Eagles, members of the Eagles organization, getting out to high five folks who have been waiting out here on JFK Boulevard for hours. So much so that the buses are actually taking a pause right now. It is a moment for these folks to absolutely soak in.
And I'm sure you've seen, I believe I saw a makeshift Vince Lombardi trophy out there in the crowd. I'm sure you've seen faces painted and quite a cast of characters. Let's go back to Brittany Shipp. Oh, George, yes, you can answer that.
Jacqueline, just to say faces painted is one thing. I think the highlight so far has been the guy I met from Chester County who got the Vince Lombardi trophy tattooed on his right arm.
Oh,
he is making his love for the Eagles permanent, so he's the real deal.
That is a way to keep the memory with you forever. We even saw someone who had that route, that Philly special, tattooed on their arm as well this week, with Nick Foles holding the Vince Lombardi. So a lot of people paying homage in their different ways. George Spencer, thank you for that report. Let's go back to Brittany Shipp now at Broad and Walnut. Brittany.
This is extraordinary. We're enjoying the kind of thing.
You were excited. Okay, excited. It was, what do you think? Excited. It was so excited. I'm excited. How early did you get up this morning? How early did you get up?
6:50. Oh, we got 5:30. Got here 6:15.
Was it worth it?
Hell yeah. Hell yeah.
Tell me how you're feeling right now about the Eagles winning the Super Bowl and having a parade straight through City Hall.
It's the greatest thing, greatest feeling with my two boys. His birthday. So, way to celebrate, Philly.
Great birthday present.
Hey, it's the best birthday I ever had. Great.
What was your favorite part of the parade?
Probably Jason Kelsey's get up.
He did look pretty wild.
What are your questions?
How are you feeling right now?
I am feeling amazing. We won the Super Bowl. We won the Super Bowl. How can you feel any better, you know?
Why was it important for you to get up early and head out here today?
I see the players, you know? You see them walking down. It's all for them. It's all for us. Let's go, Bucs. say something? We worked hard for this. We lost every one of our best players, but we still got it there. We got it. We earned it. We won it. We'll be back next year, and the next year, and the next year.
Thank you, Eagles!
All right, a lot of passion, a lot of love here for the Eagles today. It didn't matter if they got up early, spent the night out here. This has just been a fun experience for every Eagles fan. You have all the office buildings. Everyone came out, lined up just to see the Eagle. Did you like the parade?
Yeah.
What was your favorite part?
When the cheerleaders came by.
When the cheerleaders came by, that's right. All right, well, we're right in the middle of it all here on Broad Street. We'll send it back to you.
Let's go, Eagles!
All right, Brittany Ship, thank you. Down there with the crowd. So much emotion there. Some people in tears, some people just so hyped up, saying, we waited for this, we deserve this, we got it.
Yeah, you go from screaming to tears, back to screaming, back to tears.
Whole range of emotions. All right, as the Eagles Parade of Champions continues, getting ever closer to the Ben Franklin Parkway where this celebration will take place, the ceremony here on the steps of the Art Museum. Continuing coverage of the Eagles Parade of Champions on NBC 10. We're right back.
Proud partner of the Eagles. Let's go places.
Welcome back to NBC 10's coverage of Eagles Parade of Champions. Right there is a great shot. You can see just how many people there on the Ben Franklin Parkway. As the confetti continues to fly, it is raining green on the Ben Franklin Parkway, Glenn.
Yeah. We're in the home stretch now. It's just making the turn for home.
Yes, a great chopper shot.
Yeah, only a million
From high
or
above,
so
you
people
can
waiting
see
for him. Yeah.
a million plus. Everyone with the day off, everyone clamoring to try to get here. And as chopper widens out, look at the sea of people there.
Look, there are some tough decisions to be made. Where are we going to go? Are we going to try to get to the Art Museum, in which case we might have to get here last night?
Yes, 11 p.m.
Or, let's see, do we want Broad and Walnut? Do we want to find a friend or relative who's got a balcony? Do we want to get a hotel room on Broad Street? Yeah.
And then so many issues with transportation.
Yeah.
And people wanting to get those passes. And taking a look from the ground of this parade as it continues. You can see the people in the left-hand corner of your screen, the fans who have been there for hours. We talked to people who were out here at 11 o'clock last night, people who went out to that scene at 5 o'clock this morning. But they said it's not too early to get a close look of these champions because they waited so long for it.
Right, and all you had to deal with was a little cold. It's not like we had this pouring rain.
Right,
it's
like yesterday.
Not like it's a Phillies celebration in the summertime where you're worried about getting overheated and people in danger. Hey, you just put some extra layers of clothes on, the sun comes up, and you got a beautiful day for this.
And it was such an unexpected year. And when you think about the underdog status and how much they embraced that underdog status.
Yeah,
and maybe it helped them.
Oh yeah. You see some of those dog masks in the
There are a lot of dog masks out here in the crowd.
But this really probably made a difference because the Eagles have been favorites before. We were favorites against Tampa Bay years and years ago. I mean, it was a sure thing.
And that didn't work out.
And the disappointment after that game and after the Carolina game one year and that Super Bowl against New England and the 1980 championship, we're just not playing up to standards. And when they're an underdog, they're just fighting the whole way. And it's like them against the world, them against the media, them against everybody. And every time they see somebody on TV picking against them, it makes them even more motivated. And it's obviously worked.
I know. But now they're the top dog, so now what happens?
Yeah. That's a different type of pressure. Once you're the favorite, and we'll see how they come out at it next year. But look, they've lost Carson Wentz. They lost Jason Peters. They lost Sproles. They lost Hicks, their star middle linebacker. They lost their best player on special teams. They get all of those players back. The cornerback that was hurt, was out all last year, Jones, he'll be back next year. They're going to have more talent next year than they had this year. And the same coach with the same mindset and the same players who want to play for that coach. And maybe players from other teams who have seen what's happened here say, hey, I want a part of that. I'll take even less money to be a part of that. They want to win.
And they've proven they can win. Now, we should mention that the ceremony here on the steps of the Art Museum was scheduled to start at 1 o'clock. Clearly, they're behind. That won't happen. We've noticed the bus carrying the players occasionally would stop. They would stop to try to soak it all in. There's so many fans lined up. These fans are cheering for them. They are cheering their players, so they just don't want to continue on. Often they want to stop and say thank you back to their fans.
Would you want to just drive past them if they were cheering for you?
Absolutely not. Right. So that ceremony will start a little later, maybe 1:30, maybe 2, but we can see it clearly make its way down the Ben Franklin Parkway. It's coming. It's coming. And it's coming toward a lot of fans that are ready to welcome them and chant Fly, Eagles, Fly.
And I'm looking at the crowd, and they're waiting patiently. Some of them are dancing, with the music.
It is such a peaceful crowd. It really is a peaceful crowd out here. They are just happy, and they are just so proud of their team, and they just want to embrace them.
Right. There's no place to get anything to eat. There's very few porta potties to be used.
A lot less than when the Pope was here. So 850 this time. There were 3,000 porta potties when the Pope was here, and many more people today are out here on the Parkway than when the Pope visited.
Yeah, they're just standing in place, just waiting. And a good thing they have all of these jumbotrons. They played the whole Super Bowl game earlier with the crowd cheering at every great play and every touchdown, and a final play when the ball dropped in the end zone and was incomplete.
And you think this is a pretty quick turnaround for them to plan this, something of this magnitude?
Yeah,
when
you don't want
less than a week.
Right, but you don't want to plan too much because that
jinx
jinx you, bad luck. And that's what the mayor was doing. He didn't want to commit to a parade until we knew that the Eagles had won.
Whether it's true or not, the myth is out there that Belichick read a route that had been put out last time they were in the Super Bowl, saying they're already planning their parade. They haven't won the Super Bowl yet. They did not want to make that same mistake again, if that is indeed true and not a myth.
It proves that the mayor is a true football fan and Eagles fan, because he was superstitious too and didn't want to jinx it.
And we didn't see Billy Penn wearing any Eagles green.
Right.
We did not see him wearing an Eagles jersey, because when they've done that in the past with the Flyers and the Phillies, that didn't pan out so well. That was just a gorgeous shot we saw a little while ago of all those flags right there with City Hall and Belly Pin in the background. Look at that shot of there is the sea of people that we have been telling you about. Some people standing on shoulders, some people up in trees, shoulder to shoulder as far as your eye can see. Flags being waved, Eagles green, in hats, in shirts, in jerseys, current jerseys, throwback jerseys. There's a wide shot right there of the Museum of Art and the entire Ben Franklin Parkway. And look at all those people. Just happy to be here. Happy and anxious to say thank you. Thank you for bringing this championship to our city.
Yeah, and that's part of the love affair, is that they're thanking the players and the coaches and the owner, and in turn they are thanking the fans.
Look at that shot right there. In the trees. In the trees. Let's go to Dre Clark as we look at a shot of Carson Wentz, Jeffrey Lurie, Nick Foles there. Let's go to Dre Clark. Ooh, and a shot of the Vince Lombardi Trophy being held by Doug Peterson. Hey, Dre.
Hey, Jacqueline. This is the moment so many Eagles fans got up early this morning for, hopped in their cars, hopped on trains, airplanes, even walked. This very moment right here, the chance to experience a parade on the Parkway coming from Broad. Some people thought this moment would never happen. It's amazing to see so many people here. Wherever you look, all around, there is a sea of green. We are at 22nd and the Parkway, just about a quarter mile away from the steps of the Art Museum, and we fully expected this crowd to be electrified the moment the players drove by, and that's exactly what you're seeing right now. It is loud, extremely loud, electrified, and these people can't get enough. One of the things that I keep hearing this morning, people say, I can't believe this is happening. I can't believe we actually won the Super Bowl. Well, this is the reality. It's real. It's real. It took a very long time to get to this point, 50 plus years, but what a moment. And look what it's doing for the city. People are unified. They are standing shoulder to shoulder. They're excited. What this team has done for this city is really unbelievable. And this is a team that wanted to bring this trophy back to Philadelphia. I was on the field last Sunday after they won the game, and all of the players said the same thing. They were happy and excited to be bringing that Lombardi Trophy back to Philadelphia. The fans Wentz went down, people said there's no way they're going to win the Super Bowl. They were underdogs 3 times. They beat the Falcons, they crushed and destroyed the Vikings, and they simply outplayed and outwitted the Patriots, taking down that dynasty. And the result is this: a Lombardi Trophy, a championship moment in Philadelphia where you have thousands, I'm sure, and that's putting it pretty, I guess, I'm being conservative when I say thousands, because you really can't count when you take a look around. But to be in this moment right now, standing here, is unforgettable and unbelievable. You really can't put into words just how happy fans are. I see fans in trees. I see fans holding up underdog, those dog masks, because they said the Eagles were underdogs. It's all happening right here in this moment, and it's really hard to put into words. To be here and to feel this energy is something I'll never forget, and I'm sure for everyone here that's around me watching this happen, it's a moment they also will never forget. Philadelphia is a city of champions, and this is our moment. This is our moment.
And it is not a party on the Parkway, isn't it, Dre?
Oh, it is. It's been a party all morning long. You know, while these fans were waiting for the players to arrive on the buses, the music was playing. In fact, police officers were dancing in the street. It's been a party atmosphere all morning long. All morning long. So a party on the Parkway, and guess what? The party is not over yet.
No, the party is far from over. We see Swoop right there and the cheerleaders. It just seemed like a tornado of confetti that was swirling around, too. It is a party. They were just jamming to Fresh Prince of Bel-Air that was reverberating here on the Parkway. Motown Philly back again, blasting that on the Parkway. Music that means a lot to Philadelphia, to the players, to make this a festive party atmosphere. Just take a look at that shot. So many people crowded in, cheerleaders front and center, and the players up there on the bus. And there's Vince Lombardi. It's so great to see these players in their moment. Carson Wentz holding it up right now with a smile.
Look, if he hadn't played most of the year and played so great and won all those games and helped them get home field advantage,
we wouldn't be here.
Might not be here. I mean, he's still a tremendous part of all of it.
And he can hold that Vince Lombardi trophy with so much pride because he did so much to get the Eagles to this point.
Now, I'll tell you what, at one point, like in the week before the Super Bowl, I heard some commentators talking, they renamed the Lombardi trophy the Belichick trophy. I think that talk has ended.
Yes, that has ceased. And to take down the dynasty of all the evil empire.
Right. They did not win it against a fluke team. They did not win it with Brady getting hurt. They did not win it with a fluke play. They did not win it with a controversial referee's call. They were the better team and played brilliantly.
And they are being received right now, as you can see, through the trees, through the sea of people, the caravan of players making their way, 24 buses carrying the Philadelphia Eagles to approach the steps of the Art Museum to continue the celebration. Confetti flying around. Those players in their element.
And they said there are going to be some surprises.
They said there are going to be surprises here during the ceremony. Just a gorgeous shot, looking right down the Parkway. See City Hall, you see the entire Philadelphia skyline. And the people who made a point to get out here as early as possible to soak in this championship.
Yeah, you have people flying in from all over the country.
Yes.
To do this.
People who could not make it to the Super Bowl, who couldn't make it here for the NFC Championship win, saying, you know what, this is when we want to be here.
Yeah, you want to be a part of it in some way. You know, the stadium only holds a certain amount of people.
Brian Dawkins.
Oh, right.
We saw him so emotional the other night.
Right. Well, he gets elected to the Hall of Fame one night.
Incredible.
And then he gets to win, or his teammates to win the Super Bowl the next day. And it's almost as much joy as if he would have won it himself.
Yes. They say arguably one of the best athletes to ever wear a Philadelphia Eagles uniform, Brian Dawkins.
And he represents the city as much as any player in the last 50 years, probably. The toughest guy, the guy who would run through a wall to win. And reminds me back in the day of Chuck Bednarik, back in the 1960 championship team, Concrete Charlie. Oh, they're here.
And now they are in our eye line here. We are right near the steps of the Art Museum. And we had been watching it on a monitor, but now with our own eyes, we can see that first bus, the first championship bus approaching.
How are they going to get in here?
I know there's so many people in the street. You wonder how the sea of people will part so they will be able to make their way closer to the stage. And everyone with their cell phones up. There is not one person I'm looking at here in the crowd who does not have their cell phone raised, capturing this moment. And people always talk about be present, try to be present in the moment and see it with your own eyes. Yes, but they want to capture this too, so they can always look back on this memory.
Right, but they can't be sending those pictures anywhere because
cell service is a little tough out here.
A little bit of cell traffic at the moment. Well, they just drove past us. Where are they going? Somewhere else?
They'll make their way around. Turn down for what? Reverberating here on the Parkway. Quite appropriate because they turned up throughout this entire season.
Looked like it just stopped. So at some point they'll be getting out and taking a walk up here, and then the place will go crazy.
And we see on the far side of the Art Museum, we see other buses coming that way too. So a slight detour to bring them around all of the people so they can get up to the stage faster. But look at that beautiful shot right there. And we see a lot of those jackets that scored all of the Super Bowl championship wins. And now the Eagles logo can be on those jackets as well.
So now the people are seeing themselves on the jumbotrons, so they know how close it all is.
18 jumbotrons scattered around the Ben Franklin Parkway, which really made everything so much easier. People didn't know how close they would be able to get to this stage at the Museum of Art. So with those jumbotrons, regardless of where you are here on the Parkway or along Broad Street, you can see the caravan continuing, and you'll be able to see the ceremony that will take place once they arrive here on the steps of the Art Museum.
Yeah, they got to see the whole Super Bowl game before all of this. Then they're playing, of course, a lot of music. And I tell you, the audio is excellent. You can hear every word, and
we're seeing a lot of Eagles in different forms on the Parkway, and turning out to be a really gorgeous day. Cold, yes, but the sun is out, and everyone's just ready to party. You wonder how emotional this is for the players too, because so many of them, as we talked about, mentioned right there on the field after the Super Bowl, we can't wait to get back to Philly. We can't wait to get on a plane and get to Broad Street for the parade. So you wonder the type of emotion that they are overcome with right now as they're approaching this sea of people who are looking up at them, cheering them, taking pictures of them, screaming, "I love you." It's interesting, Nick Foles, they say when he would go into the huddle, so often during the Super Bowl, he kept saying, "I love you guys, I love you guys, I love you guys."
Yeah. I saw that on the NFL film show on Showtime, and the last play, just before the last play to win the game with the Ertz touchdown, he goes, "First thing, I love you guys," and then goes to the play.
How often do you hear about that? How often do you hear about that? Case in point.
Well, this is a mutual thing, and they have this love for the coach and trust in the coach because the coach trusts in them. And being a former player and maybe
a former backup quarterback.
Backup quarterback understood all of that and the relationship between the coach and the players, something that Chip Kelly never had any idea. College is totally different.
What a contrast.
The coach, the head coach in college, he's the dictator. But here it's a different story. That the player, the backup quarterback, could go over to the sideline, 4th down and 1 at the 1-yard line, and say to the coach, "Hey, let's do the Philly special." And then Peterson goes, "Okay, let's do it."
Right. Let's try it. Why not?
Just that
so
simple.
Casual.
Because they trust each other.
Right, and with that Philly special, from an undrafted rookie running back, got the snap, to a third-string tight end, to a backup quarterback for the touchdown.
Well,
for the win.
If you make up the right play and you execute it perfectly, you can do it. That's even against the defending world champs.
Looks like there may be a bottleneck of sorts.
Well, I see the cheerleaders coming. See them right there.
The cheerleaders.
They're about to make the turn right in toward the art museum.
So with our eyes, we can see the cheerleaders who you've been watching.
Notice how I spot the cheerleaders
route.
first?
Yes, interesting, Glenn. Interesting how you.
It's just the pom-poms.
Yes,
the reflection.
That was it. But yes, so we see those cheerleaders that you've been watching along this entire parade route.
And here comes John Clark.
Bus, and John Clark will be joining us momentarily. John Clark, who got some incredible interviews all along the entire route, talking to Doug Peterson, CEO and chairman of the Eagles, Jeffrey Lurie, Fletcher Cox. Getting up close and personal with those players.
Did they hear the Nick Foles one-on-one from the bus? We got a one-on-one with the trophy. They got to hear it. Huh? You're on? Oh, sorry,
and we see those championship buses getting closer.
Yeah.
These jumbotrons are going to be filled with this ceremony. And for this entire crowd to hear what these players have to say.
Yeah.
And for the players to be able to feed off of the 1 million plus people out here and to get that instant reaction. We saw them talking on the field. We saw them speaking in news conferences. But to be here on the steps of the Art Museum and to talk to the people of Philadelphia and to be able to get their reaction instantly, that's going to be something to see and hear.
Yeah, I wonder if the players are coming around the side of the Art Museum and are going to end up coming down the steps rather than just coming in front.
Well, they did say there were going to be some surprises, so maybe their entrance will be a surprise as well. the way they arrive.
Maybe Stallone can lead them in.
Rocky, now you mentioned
underdog.
something interesting the other day. Since we are here near the Art Museum, Glenn, you said that you thought there should be new statues next to the Rocky statue as well?
That's right. A statue of Foles and a statue of Peterson, because these are the real underdog heroes of Philadelphia.
Yes.
Not just one in the movies. I mean, the movie one was a nice placeholder until reality came in, and now we have reality. I mean, you can never forget what these guys have done for us.
First Super Bowl win, it's possible. Statues could be on the way.
All
and
right.
We're hearing cheers. Oh, Swoop is on the top of the steps.
Right.
Leading a pep rally of sorts here on the Ben Franklin Parkway. Hence the cheers.
Yeah.
Firing up the crowd. Oh, here come the Eagles chants. I hope our crowd at home can hear that chant just as easily as we can. The bus is still making their way in to make sure that everyone is on stage before the celebration begins. John Clark with us.
How are you?
John, how was it on the bus with the players and the coach and the owner?
I love the fact that Doug Peterson was taking as many videos and as many pictures with his phone as everybody was that was looking up at him with the Lombardi Trophy. These guys were in awe of the amount of people. And then when you come up the Ben Franklin Parkway and you see the sea of green, women on top of poles and people in trees, kids on buildings, and it was just a beautiful sight going up Broad Street where all the people in their homes were in their bedrooms or their upper floors and they were looking out the window. I mean, what a spot they had for this parade.
And look on the balconies. Look at the balconies. They're loaded.
It's unbelievable.
And the players were in awe.
The players were in awe. Bigger
we were
and
wondering
better.
what the reaction would be.
Bigger and better than they thought or envisioned.
Really? All right. John Clark with us. We'll be right back with more coverage. The Eagles Parade of Champions. The ceremony is getting ready to start here on the steps of the Art Museum. We'll be right back.
At NBC
Let's go places. NBC 10 presents Eagles Parade of Champions, presented by Toyota, proud partner of the Eagles. Let's go places.
Continuing coverage right now on NBC 10 of the Eagles Parade of Champions. Jacqueline London with Glenn Hurricane Schwartz, and now joined by John Clark. And John, you were saying you were on the bus with these players, and you were saying when they made this turn off Broad Street and saw this sea of people, their reaction was priceless.
It really was, and I really believe that they envisioned that this was going to be huge, but it was huger than they thought. And really, the guys summed it up that everywhere they went on Broad Street and then the Parkway, it was like a fourth down play at the length where the defense was on the field. And it was just a roar the whole entire time. And it's unbelievable, the energy that the Eagles fans brought. There were a lot of great signs. Some even said, "This is for my grandpa who is no longer here."
Yes.
And my favorite, "Yo, Adrian, we finally did it."
Yo, Adrian. Yo.
So yeah, it was amazing, and it was a special experience for me to be on the bus with the players and see their reaction to the crowd. And a couple of them even said, "It really hit me now. It really hit me now."
This was the moment today, seeing all of the people here in Philadelphia.
That we actually won the Super Bowl. That's what they said, yeah.
And you talked to so many of those players on the field at US Bank Stadium, and so many of them said they just wanted to get here. We just want to get to Broad Street. We just want to have the parade.
Yeah, and that's the most special thing to them, is bringing it back here to the city. And there were some great sights, as you saw, of Doug Peterson deciding to get off the bus and take that Lombardi trophy over to the fans on Broad Street and let them touch it, let them see it. Yeah, and you're exactly right. The biggest thing for them was bringing it back to Philadelphia. And wow, 57 years it has been since an NFL championship, first Super Bowl. And this is the biggest party I've ever seen in my lifetime here in Philly. It is amazing the joy that the Eagles can bring to an entire area and change the mindset. Because Hurricane knows this growing up here. There was the term Negadelphia. That's right. There was negativity and that doom and gloom attitude, like, well, something's going to happen here. The bottom's going to fall out. But you know what? The Eagles are changing that. A new norm, they say.
Even against New England, even facing New England, what percentage expected a victory? It was like 85, 90%. That would never have happened 10 years ago, 5 years ago.
Yeah, Tom Brady would have gone down the field and scored a game-winning touchdown to beat the Eagles.
Right. But you knew they couldn't stop them. They couldn't stop the Eagles. So it was just going to be maybe the last person or last team to have the ball. They're every bit as good as New England, if not better, and they knew it.
Yeah, and I got to ask you, maybe Hurricane and Jacqueline, I mean, I think this is the best team in the history of Philadelphia sports. It may not be the most talented, but it is the best team because they're the only team in the history of the NFL that lost their starting quarterback, MVP candidate, and their starting left tackle who protects the quarterback and made it to the Super Bowl.
Yeah,
and all the players, all the players they lost. It is miraculous what they did and pulled off against the dynasty.
The dynasty, the evil, and how selfless a lot of these players were and took a back seat when other players came on board.
Yeah, and you know what? Yeah, you're right. When Ajayi, they trade for him. They bring him in. Okay, we're going to start to give you more and more carries. LeGarrette Blount has to take a back seat in a way, who won a championship last year with the Patriots. Yeah. Chris Long comes in here, won a Super Bowl with the Patriots last year as well, and he's mainly on third downs. And these guys all were selfless and gave it up for the team. I don't know if I've been around a group where there was no backbiting, you know?
Yes.
There was never anybody who said, you know what, I should be the one out there making the plays. I should be the one getting the opportunities. And it's such a unique group that is so together. They bonded in the offseason. Wow.
They did. Looking at Swoop and shirtless people in the crowd of the parade, not bothered by the cold air. Beautiful shot.
And John, I mentioned earlier that they're going to have even more talent next year when those players come back. And you got Sidney Jones on top of that. And then whatever draft choice or free agents they get beyond it, they're going to be a lot more talented next year than this year.
Yeah, it is amazing. And Doug Peterson kind of set the tone by saying, we want to do this again. We want to do this again. We want to do it again and again. And he's trying to set the new level of expectation and hope that maybe we didn't have before, because we just wanted to win a Super Bowl.
Right.
And then Doug is saying, we can do it again. He's raising the bar.
Can we keep this same team?
Well, no team stays together, and there's going to be some financial issues with the cap and everything.
Especially now with the Super Bowl win.
Yeah, and there might be... See, and that's the interesting thing. Usually after a Super Bowl win, there's guys who want more money. They want new contracts. But this team is such a unique group, and you saw it with Nick Foles and Carson Wentz, the support that Carson Wentz gave Nick Foles. Of course Carson Wentz wants to be out there. Of course he wants to be the guy with the Lombardi Trophy. But he was in there every day, acting like he's playing, the preparation, but it was for Nick.
Still in at 6 a.m. in the mornings, even after being injured. Phone conversations on the sidelines, working with Nick, helping him out with the scheme.
It sets
Not
the
everyone
tone.
would do that.
It sets the tone for the entire team.
And Nick will do the same thing for Carson next year.
Yep.
He'll be in at 6 a.m. studying for Carson.
If he stays here, right? Big question. Big question mark.
Yeah, it's going to be a fascinating situation, because I don't think there's ever been a Super Bowl MVP who has been the backup quarterback going into the next season. That's why it's such a rare thing in the history of the NFL for this to happen.
So many teams will be chomping at the bit to get their hands on Nick Foles.
Absolutely.
And in interviews, he said, we're just going to wait and see what happens. I just want to enjoy this moment. I want to savor the win of the Super Bowl. I want to get back to Philly on Broad Street. We'll see what happens in March, possibly. But right now, looking at a live picture, we're looking at the steps of the Art Museum, waiting for the players to come out. This crowd is being entertained by a lot of hype music and swoop. Giving them a show on stage.
At the beginning of this year, what odds would you have given to have ended up here today for this season?
Well, what was Vegas's odds?
Right.
It was, you could have made a lot of good money off of that. I mean, it is remarkable that you had people like Mike Lombardi, an analyst, saying Doug Peterson is the most unqualified coaching candidate I've ever seen in 30 years in the NFL. People were on Doug's case that he wasn't qualified to be the head coach. But you know what he did? He brought the emotional intelligence, and he connected with the team. And yeah, maybe Chip Kelly is brilliant at football and stuff, but Doug Peterson, not only was he the guy who connected with the players personally because he played the game and he connected with them emotionally, but man, his play calling in the Super Bowl is going to go down into history as some of the gutsiest play calling we've ever seen.
So aggressive.
Yes.
And it wasn't just a gut feeling. He was doing it based on analytics. What are the probabilities of being successful on fourth down? And that's why they tried it more than any team in history, and that's why they succeeded more than any team in history.
And you had to have loved that conversation you saw with the great trick play. Oh, there's Merrill Reese, the longest tenured NFL broadcaster for any team, 41 years. Merrill Reese, he has been waiting for this just like everyone else. And it's so good to see him there.
Everyone here is just so excited to be here, and in many ways can't believe that this day is finally here after 56 years.
And he was saying yesterday on the radio that Fletcher Cox told him right after the game, says, I got a ring for you. You're getting a ring.
That's great.
Listen.
And how about John Dornbos getting a ring too?
Yeah.
John Dornbos, who, had he not been traded to the Saints and had to have a physical done, and they detected that aortic aneurysm, noticing that he needed immediate open heart surgery, and then Jeffrey Lurie and the team saying, you know what, you deserve a ring. We're going to give you a Super Bowl ring.
And come back with us to Minneapolis for the Super Bowl weekend and be a part of our team. And that says a lot about Jeffrey Lurie and the Eagles and the way they run things. Yeah, it's a special group. It really is a special group because, you know, when they set on this plan of drafting Carson Wentz, we all thought, Carson Wentz, wow, maybe he is our great hope that can help lead the city to a Super Bowl.
Pennsylvania.
Yeah. And in the second year of Carson Wentz and Doug Peterson, it didn't happen exactly the way they drew it up. But wow, I'm telling you, this is one of the more miraculous teams we've ever seen in this city's history.
Selfies on stage.
And people were laughing when Peterson said that this team was more talented than his Super Bowl winning team in Green Bay.
Yeah, you're right. And Hurricane, that's a good thing that Doug does. He ups the bar at all times. He ups the ante, and he believed it. He believed it.
And really, the Eagles will have to change now. They did so well with that underdog status. Now, how do they adapt with this top dog status?
It's a great point. It's a great point. And, you know, it's kind of like Boston, where the Boston Red Sox had gone for so long without winning a World Series. And same thing with the Cubs, you know, without winning a World Series. And then the mindset changes. Mm-hmm. Now we want more.
Right.
And
don't get greedy.
Yeah. And I think that was one of the big things with this team. When Carson Wentz went down, I think the players all just, you know what, they let loose. They let it out. There was no pressure anymore to win.
Yes.
And they were playing with house money.
Right, being the underdog.
Yeah, and they lived it up. In fact, down on the parade route, it was fantastic. The guys had the masks, and they were doing the woof, 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 woof. And the crowd is doing it back, barking back and forth.
Who let the dogs out?
Yes.
All that.
It's a great scene. And they played it up. And you know what? They also made a lot of money for Philadelphia schools.
Yes.
I believe $200,000. Lane Johnson really turned that into something very good and positive, raising a lot of money for Philadelphia schools.
When you see them doing that and making something positive out of it too and giving back, that speaks volumes. All they do is win. Music continuing to blast out here on the Parkway. Yep, and all they've been doing lately is winning.
And they
this
stay
entire
there.
crowd, their hands are going up. It is a party indeed. A party unlike any other in Philadelphia history.
Yeah, and I can't wait to see the numbers because, you know, we're talking about the signing of the Constitution, the Declaration of Independence, the Centennial, then the Bicentennial, and the Pope visiting. But I got to tell you, I think this dwarfs them all in how large of a party this is. What do you think?
Absolutely. When you have people coming here from all over the country.
And people from Israel came. I saw tweets from people coming from different countries like Israel.
Oh, gosh. Yeah.
Well, there's only a certain amount who can have made it into the stadium to see it, to be a part of it. Mm-hmm. But everybody here is now a part of this. And for the rest of their lives, when they tell the stories. I was there. I was there, a part of the celebration. That's why they all want to be here.
And they wanted to be together with friends and family. That's one of the greatest things that an Eagles championship like this brings, is that you start hearing from so many people that you haven't heard from in a while. It brings you back together with people you knew in high school, family members, and everybody comes together. It's really one of the few things, you know, you have politics out there, you have a lot of things out there that divides people. The Eagles, they bring everybody together. Everybody, maybe people who don't talk to each other on the subway, start talking to each other. How about that game? Man, they won the Super Bowl, and it's amazing what it can do to a community.
Right. So not only were the Eagles unified among their team, but it did unify the entire city.
It's a special, special thing.
You can see it right there.
And fortunately, it's not like a city like New York or Chicago where you have multiple teams, where you say, oh, I'm a Yankees fan, no, I'm a Mets fan. They're all Eagles fans.
Yeah, and you know, I ran into some Giants fans last night, actually, and they told me, you know what? I'm a Giants fan, and yeah, I don't like the Eagles, but I was rooting for them against the Patriots. You know, and
Yes.
we beat them. The Giants beat the Patriots in the 2 Super Bowls they won, and they said, you know what? I'm happy for the Eagles because they beat the Patriots.
Well, the rest of the country's like that too, except for New England and Dallas. If you saw the map of where the country was rooting,
that's right.
There was one little hole right around Dallas that was rooting for New England.
Yeah, well, how long has it been since they won their last Super Bowl? The 90s.
Yeah, this is Jeff Lurie's chance to get back a little bit at Jerry Jones, who I'm sure has rubbed it in a time or two over the years.
Yeah, and for Jeff Lurie, when we talked to him on the bus, he was on the doorstep, knocking on the door in the Andy Reid era. Made the Super Bowl, 5 NFC championships out of 8 years, and he told me it is sweeter to win it now, 25 years later, than winning it probably in your 4th or 5th year, because it's so hard to do, and it makes it that much more impressive and a struggle to get it.
And you get to appreciate it.
Yeah.
They're struggling. Yeah, I can identify with that too.
Yeah, well, so can the city, 57 years.
Yeah.
And even Malcolm Jenkins was recently saying that, yes, he has a Super Bowl ring with the New Orleans Saints, but this is different. With the Saints, he was a rookie.
Yeah.
And he was put in the game at the last minute. He's really helped foster this team as the captain. And this win, he said, is so vastly different for him than his ring with New Orleans. And to think that Chris Long and Lyric Garrett Blount were with the Patriots last year.
Yeah.
And then they were playing against the Patriots this year.
How wild is that? There's only a few players in NFL history who've been able to win 2 straight Super Bowls with 2 different teams. You bring up names like Deion Sanders and Charles Haley. They're one of only a couple. And so special to face their former team and bring this ring. And so many times in the NFL with free agency, when you bring in new guys, they don't work out. And this team, they galvanize
Pennsylvania Governor
together.
Tom Wolf coming down the steps of the Museum of Art.
Well, somebody's coming down the steps.
They're gradually starting to come. The dignitaries, then the players, and we'll have the speeches, which will be filled with so much emotion.
But last night I saw that This Is the NFL show on Showtime, where they had the replay of the game with the players mic'd, and then they had these former pros commenting on it, and Ray Lewis was in the studio there, and the person he was raving about was Malcolm Jenkins, and how important he was, how crucial he was to winning that game. Even though they gave up so many yards and plenty of points, they wouldn't have won it without him.
Yeah, and he was a calming influence for the other guys, him saying, guys, it's okay. Yeah, we've given up a lot of yards, but we're going to make the play that wins the game.
Right.
And that's why Malcolm Jenkins on the defensive side of the ball is so important as a leader, because all the young guys who've come in, they all say they learned how to tape study and study harder and look at film and how to look at film and break down the opponent. They've all become students of the game because of a guy like Malcolm Jenkins.
And you probably learn how to fail and not get down on yourself. That's how momentum happens.
Yep.
You miss a play, and then you get down, and then you miss the next play, and then you get down.
Yeah, and guys, I mean, this is one of the craziest Super Bowls of all time, because this is only the 40th time in NFL history a team put up 600 yards like the Patriots did. The other 39 times before that, they did not lose.
Right.
They did not lose. I mean, think about what the Patriots did. Over 500 yards from Tom Brady, over 600 yards of offense, and they lost the game. They never punted, and they lost the game. You're saying that Nick Foles, it wasn't the defense of the Eagles who put the team on their back. It was Nick Foles who put everybody on their back and led the Eagles to victory over the greatest coach, the greatest quarterback, and the greatest dynasty in NFL history.
And even with all of those yards that they got, the Eagles still won time of possession, which of course certain previous coaches thought was unimportant. But New England might have scored 50 points if the Eagles didn't control the ball so much.
Yep. It's an incredible Super Bowl. What happened is incredible. You're going to talk about the Philly special.
Yeah.
That play is going to be bigger than 4th and 26.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it's the greatest play in Philadelphia sports history.
Absolutely.
And you know what the original names were, right? when they first came up with the play Philly Special, they were like, what should we call it? Should we call it apples?
Right, apple, right? Yeah.
Or oranges? You know what? And then they said, nah, the Philly Special. How you like them apples?
Exactly.
How you like
and the
them
fact
apples?
that Nick Foles made that catch and Tom Brady did not.
I like that, and that's what they told Nick Foles on the sideline after it happened. He says, "Well, hey, Tom Brady couldn't catch it. Good job."
If you think you can do something, I can do it better.
That's right.
You got a better pass though too.
Yes.
Burton, that was a perfect pass.
And you know what? He was a high school quarterback. And you know what's fascinating about that play? That play was found by somebody in the Eagles football office who studies everybody else's film. When they were preparing for the Minnesota Vikings game in the NFC title game, they were looking at all their film from years past, and they saw the Chicago Bears run that play against the Minnesota Vikings.
The Bears,
and they said,
absolutely.
"Ooh, I'm going to bring this to the head coach." Head coach says, "I like this play." And then they didn't practice it during Super Bowl week at their practices. They practiced it in the ballroom, so the pool camera could not see that play being run.
Genius.
Super Bowl week. They did it in a ballroom, and all 3 times they practiced it, Nick Foles caught the ball. So they said, you know what? Let's run this play. It works.
And they didn't trust Belichick because they cheated before.
Exactly right.
Spygate, you want to make sure it's a secret.
Yeah, do it in the privacy of your own ballroom.
That is brilliant. Brilliant, and it worked. Never
worked.
captured on camera
That
until
is-
it needed to be.
That is the gutsiest call in Super Bowl history, that play at that time.
And when you see it on the sidelines and the casual conversation between Nick Foles and Coach Peterson, hey, you want to try the Philly Special? All right, yeah, cool, we'll try it. Whatever.
Let's do it.
Let's do it. Oh, boy, and it worked. And we see some of the family members and the children of the players. They have been making their way down the steps to the prime seating in the front. There had been rows and rows of open seating. While people had been here since 11 o'clock last night trying to get a great seat out here, there were many rows that were reserved. And those seats are being filled right now with family and friends who are being ushered in from the top of the Art Museum steps, and they're being seated before the ceremony begins.
I had heard stories about college students coming from, where they're going to school in some other city, driving up last night, getting an Airbnb, a little room in a house, and sleeping there, and wanting to be here for the moment. And yeah, they're not going to their class today, but people came from everywhere to congregate here and come together in the greatest sports moment in the history of our city.
That tells you something about this city. It really does.
And it's a football town.
And look at that picture on the upper left with the Art Museum back there and the bright blue sky behind it. What a beautiful picture.
Picture perfect.
And where it says Super Bowl champions and the Eagles symbol, that just makes it that much more beautiful.
It really happened. It really happened.
No, it wasn't a dream, John.
No, it wasn't. A lot of people did think it was when they woke up the next morning.
And here come the cheerleaders.
And today, the reality, when the players are face-to-face with 2 million of their greatest fans, they realize this was not a dream. This is real. As the cheerleaders are making their way down the steps of the Art Museum. And it is such a pleasant crowd. And it's such a happy environment out here. The day of the Super Bowl, there were some isolated incidents. But this is just one big, happy parade. And the fact that 2 million people can come out and just want to hear from their favorite players.
And it's all about family in this city. You know what everybody does on Sunday? They go to church and they watch the Eagles, whether it's in their own home or they go tailgate as family, and they hang out together, they eat together, they have a few beers together, and it's all about family. And people out in Minneapolis, people here saw sons crying in the arms of their fathers, and you see here with the parade, all the families and friends come together and celebrate this together. In fact, there were a lot of people who said, I'm not going out to Minneapolis to the Super Bowl. First of all, it's too cold. But I want to be here and celebrate with my family and friends.
Yes, how beautiful is that?
It's pretty cool.
I spoke to one woman who was in the crowd at the Super Bowl. She said she sat in the stands after the Eagles won it. She sat in the stands for 45 minutes, crying with tears in her eyes because she just didn't want to believe it.
That's great.
She didn't want to leave.
That's great.
So that says a lot. They paid a lot for their tickets, so they don't want to leave. They want the moment to last forever. But after the win, and such a fight of a game it was, they didn't want to let that moment go.
There it is. There's the number one bus with Carson Wentz and Nick Foles. Jeff Lurie was on that bus with the Lombardi Trophy right there. How cool is that scene with the confetti flying in the air?
How many kisses are on that Vince Lombardi Trophy?
You know, I always wondered, Jacqueline, let me ask you a question. Would you kiss that Lombardi Trophy knowing there's hundreds of people who have already kissed that trophy? I've always wondered that.
I guess if you're a player and you're in the moment.
Yeah.
You're not thinking about that aspect, but now maybe so far removed, you wonder how many have been on it.
The flu is definitely going around.
Not sanitized.
I'd have to see a few players come down with it now.
Seems like a price they're willing to pay because they're so over the moon and elated of this win.
Yeah, in the moment, nothing matters. And this is a great song right now for Philadelphia, isn't it? Because Philadelphia won't back down.
Right.
And you know what? I think people now can, say, you know what? We are with the big boys because we were the only city, the only team in the division without Super Bowls. The Redskins have 3. The Giants have, 4? Cowboys have 5, whatever it is. The Eagles were the only ones on the Northeast corridor without a Super Bowl. Even the Ravens, they have 2. The team that came in existence, in the 90s? And now Philadelphia. Now Philadelphia is right there in the mix with their first Super Bowl, and they won't back down.
And still so much humility with this win, and so humble. And they still speak of so much love among their teammates, of their family members. Jason Kelce, how emotional was he in the news conference after the Super Bowl win, talking about years ago when he was told not to give up, and to just fight till the very end. He thought of those moments when he was there after the Super Bowl.
And people who believed in him, like he said, his grandfather and his parents believed in him. And that's really the great story about this Eagles team. Not a lot of people believed in him.
Right.
But you know what? They believed in themselves.
Well, that's how they identify with being underdogs. They know what it felt personally, and then the team became the underdog. Took all the pressure off.
And the ceremony is beginning. Let's listen in.
Dave Spadaro leading it off.
We are here to celebrate the Super Bowl 52 champion, Philadelphia Eagles! Insider, and I, like every one of you, have dreamed about this day my entire life. And here we are. The entire Philadelphia Eagles organization would like to thank the millions of fans who have filled this city with Eagles green on this glorious day. All of those fans watching across the country and around the globe, you are the best fans in the world, and we love you. If we could, for just a moment, also remember those loved ones no longer with us, who love the Eagles with every fiber in their body. And thank the past players and coaches and administrators who have helped build the Eagles into what they are today, champions of the world! Now it's time to get this party started. Please welcome the fabulous Eagles cheerleaders and the Eagles pep band as we all sing the Eagles fight song.
most entertaining and exhilarating games of all time. Heroes everywhere in that game. Let's take a look back at that very special moment in Philadelphia Eagles history.
There were high hopes when the Eagles started training camp in early August. Maybe we thought, maybe this team, if they stayed healthy, could contend for a playoff spot. But nobody envisioned that we'd be here today.
Now, the Eagles have had a good amount of success over the last half century. But what's eluded them, of course, is the Lombardi Trophy. That's the one thing that's missing. Will that drought end tonight here in Minneapolis?
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Super Bowl 52.
2 weeks of hype, and it's time for a game to break out, and not soon enough. Foles, flushed out, keeps his eyes downfield, and completes it to Alshon Jeffrey. Foles, deep in the pocket, fires downfield, and that is hauled in at the 38-yard line by Torrey Smith.
Ball is spotted, the kick is up, and the kick is good, and the Eagles lead Super Bowl 52, 3-0.
Blunt is the running back. LeGarrette Blunt over the right side. Breaks free. Into Patriot territory. And spun down at the 33-yard line by Deron Harmon.
Foles fakes. He's back. He steps up. He is going deep. And it is caught by Alshon Jeffrey for a touchdown.
Whoa, what a great catch by Alshon Jeffrey.
The former Bear, 34 yards and a touchdown. And the ball is handed off to Brandon Cooks, who tries to hurdle and can't. Brandon Cooks taking some shot there. Great catch over the shoulder.
Blunt across the 20, the 15, the 10, the 5. The train is in the end zone.
Corey Clement breaks the tackle inside the 20.
Are they really going to go for this?
You want Philly?
Yeah, let's do it.
Philly special. Ready? Here we go.
Here we go. This could decide the game.
Easy. Kill.
Foles running up and down the line. It's a direct snap, and it goes to Clement, who gives it off to Burton, the tight end, who then throws in the end zone. Touchdown! Foles caught the ball on a touchdown pass in the yard by the tight end. What did we just see?
I was feeling it right there. Great job.
Everything today.
Let's go, Big Joe.
Catch him and throw him.
This play call has a chance to be remembered as one of the all-time greats.
Pulls back again. He is going deep, and is it a touchdown?
It is.
It is touchdown. It goes all the way down. A 22-yard touchdown to Clement.
And they go for it. And Foles under pressure throws caught just enough for the first down.
Back goes Foles. Fires. Slant. Touchdown. Zach Ertz.
2nd and 2. Brady gets hit. The ball is out. And Philadelphia has it. Derek Barnett comes away with it. Brandon Graham was one of the guys who got in there.
Ball is spotted. The kick is away. And the kick is gone! 9 seconds left. What a game. We will never forget this. Eagles by 8. Brady. He steps up. He's hit. He stumbles. He is throwing it deep for the end zone. And it is incomplete. And the game is over. The game is over. The Philadelphia Eagles are Super Bowl champions. Eagles fans everywhere, this is for you. Let the celebration begin.
There's going to be a parade on Broad Street. Hey, man, if this is a dream, don't wake me up. We're going to have a parade on Broad Street. Hey, we're going to have a parade.
The Eagles have won the Super Bowl.
Oh, my goodness.
Eagles fans, it is my honor to introduce a member of the Philadelphia Eagles Hall of Fame. our play-by-play voice for more than 40 years, please welcome the great Merrill Reese.
Thank you very much. It is so amazing to be here today. What a great feeling. We have waited so long, but our dream has finally come true. The Eagles have won the Super Bowl. They are the world champions. Without any further delay, let's welcome your Super Bowl champion, Philadelphia Eagles.
Please rise, remove your hats, and members of the armed forces and veterans salute. Our nation's colors are presented by the Philadelphia Police Department Honor Guard, and performing our national anthem is Dr. Jesse McGuire. Behind you guys, turn. Behind. Turn. Turn the colors for here. welcome two very special guests to the podium, Pennsylvania Governor Tom Wolf and Philadelphia Mayor Jim Kenney.
Hello, Eagles fans. I am here to deliver a simple message, and that is all Pennsylvania is proud of what you all did. Pennsylvania is proud of Jeff Lurie for making the investments he made in this team. Pennsylvania is proud of the molding that Coach Peterson did for this team. Pennsylvania is proud of you fans for what you have done to support and believe in this team. And finally, Pennsylvania is proud of this team. Pennsylvania is proud of this team for the way they play, and Pennsylvania is proud of the way this team lives its lives. Thank you very much, and congratulations. Go Eagles!
It's always sunny in Philadelphia, especially when the Eagles are world champions. This time, this town, and this team were perfect together. We want to thank all the players and their families for the hard work, the coaches and their families for their hard work, the ownership, Jeffrey Lurie, Don Smolenski. You've made our lives perfect now because the chip is off our shoulder. We are now world champions. God bless you all. And I want to thank this crowd and this group of folks out here, millions of you, for showing the love that you have for each other for this team. God bless you all. Go Birds!
Ladies and gentlemen, it is now my pleasure to introduce the man who has overseen this franchise for 23 years. He purchased the Eagles back in 1994 and launched the most successful run in the organization's history, establishing a winning tradition both on and off the field. Under his leadership, the Eagles have compiled a greater overall winning percentage, more playoff appearances, and more playoff victories than it had under all previous owners combined. He led the Eagles to 8 NFC East titles, 6 NFC Championship appearances, 2 Super Bowl appearances, and now the franchise's first Super Bowl championship. It is a great honor to introduce the chairman and CEO of the Super Bowl champion Philadelphia Eagles, Jeffrey Lurie.
Wow. For the millions of Eagles fans here in Philly, all over America and around the world, this Super Bowl championship is for you. You are the most passionate and deserving sports fans on the planet. We couldn't have done it without you. You are a huge part of our Eagles family. Together, we brought Philly this world championship. I want to congratulate our players, who are the most impressive group of men I have ever been around. Our coaches, led by Doug Peterson, are savvy, humble, relentless, and fearless. Our football operations, smartly and creatively led by Howie Roseman. And our business operations, astutely led by Don Smolenski. This Eagles team won a world championship because it epitomizes what this great city and this great country can be at its best. When you treasure selflessness, compassion, teamwork, trust in and love of each other, and incredible resilience through all the adversity, and combine it with great focus and strategy, you become a world championship family. Philly, you are Super Bowl champions, and I have one final message for you. We are just beginning.
I want to recognize all the great Eagles players who laid the foundation for this historic franchise. Many of them are here today, and I just want to recognize you all, because without you, we're not here. I also want to recognize the newest member of the Pro Football Hall of Fame, all-time Eagle great Brian Dawkins. I want now to turn this over to our Super Bowl champion head coach. Go Eagles!
City of Philadelphia. These men up here beside me just won Super Bowl 52. I'm so proud of this group of men. The dedication, the commitment, the desire, and the will to never quit. This is a resilient group. This is a group that fought through a lot of injury, adversity. The underdog, right? The underdog. This is a group that I'll always remember for sticking together, for trusting in me as the head football coach, and trusting in Mr. Lurie, and trusting in each other. I love these guys. We brought you guys a world championship, and just like Mr. Lurie said, we are not done yet. We have more to go, more to prove. This is our new norm. This is our new norm, to be playing football in February. I'm so proud to represent this group, this city, and this organization. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Coach. It wasn't too long ago that the Eagles were a team in transition. And since then, excellent drafting, shrewd moves in free agency, deft wheeling and dealing. And here the Eagles are as the champions of the world. Responsible for that, please welcome Howie Roseman.
Philly, is this what heaven's like? This is the best city in the world, with the best fans in the world, and now we have the World Championship. Get used to it, let's go!
It's time now to meet some of the players responsible for all of us being here today. First up, he threw 3 touchdown passes and caught the Philly special in the Super Bowl. Please welcome the MVP, Nick Foles.
I don't think words can really describe what is going on here today. I've never seen so many people in one spot celebrating in unity one thing. To be a part of the Philadelphia Eagles, to be a part of these guys, it's one of the greatest things I've ever done in my life. It is an honor for us to bring you all to the Super Bowl. We finally did it. We're Super Bowl champs.
Next up, one of the great players at his position in the history of the NFL, a 9-time Pro Bowler, 7 times with the Eagles. Unfortunately, wasn't there on the field to help this team win the Super Bowl, but a great asset off the field, helping the Eagles get here today. Please welcome the bodyguard, left tackle, Jason Peters.
I want y'all to make some noise for the 2018 Super Bowl champs. because I want to thank each and every one of these guys for going out there and fighting for me. You know, when I went down, Wentz went down, Sproles went down, Hicks, Maragos, a bunch of guys went down, key guys. All three phases of the game went down. And these guys never batted an eye. Y'all never stopped rooting for us. And in the end, we all believed in each other. And that's why we're the world champs. Super Bowl 52, baby.
Next, one of the team captains, one of the leaders, one of the great special teams players in all of the NFL. Please welcome Chris Maragos.
Yo, Philly, hey. I anticipated y'all being lit, but man, y'all know how to party. Man, it's so good being here with you guys today. You know, like JP said, we went down earlier in the year, but I saw a different perspective than I did when I was playing. You see, when you're a player, you put your head down and you grind. And I was able to look up a little bit this year, and you know what I saw? I saw a team full of passion. I saw a fan base that hurts when we hurt. A fan base that celebrates when we celebrate. And today, I saw a place that parties when we party. Congratulations, Philadelphia. You deserve this more than anybody in the world. We're 2018 world champions. Congratulations.
Next, the longest tenured athlete in Philadelphia, a leader in the locker room. Please welcome number 87, tight end, Brent Selleck.
Hey, Philly, I love you. Philly, I just know when I was drafted here in 2007, there was one thing that all the fans said that they wanted, and that was a world championship. And today, we celebrate the fact that Philly has a world championship. To all the fans out there that have supported us, I love each and every one of you. You all know that Philly is my home, and Philly is world champs today. I love y'all.
We've been introducing these players one at a time. Right now, we make an exception. Please welcome the underdogs, Chris Long and Lane Johnson. Center of the football universe. Let me hear you bark a little. Hey, we want to break a world record right now. We want to get the loudest E-A-G-L-E-S Eagles chant of all time. Lane, kick it off, baby.
A one, a two, a three. E-A-G-L-E-S If you like the way this feels and you want to start feeling it more often, give me a hell yeah.
Hey, today, the bottom line is, son, we are the center of the football universe, and they got to live with the underdogs, baby, because we are the center of the football universe. Go Eagles. Thank you. Super Bowl. Tom Brady on the field. Eagles needed a stop. The defense rose to the occasion. Number 55 off the edge. Brandon Graham, the big play. The strip sack. Please welcome Brandon Graham.
championship, baby. It took me 8 years, all my life for real, but I appreciate y'all, for embracing us, this year, because, we know we've been through some ups and downs, and we could have easily gave it away, and gave up on each other. But we didn't, and we stayed together, and that's that brotherly love we talk about in Philadelphia. And we stayed together, and we made it happen. 2018 World Champions, baby, let's do it.
Nick Foles brought it home at the quarterback position, but we would not be here today if it were not for 33 touchdown passes, an 11-2 record as a starter, went down with an injury. Please welcome the MVP, quarterback Carson Wentz.
Eagles Nation is. As I stand here today and look out here, I think y'all are more than crazy. Y'all truly are the best football fans in the world, and you make it a joy and a pleasure to play for you. From the moment I got here, I knew this was a special place. A special locker room, a special organization, special coaching, and some seriously special fans. And I knew it wouldn't take long until we were standing up here, and here we are today as world champions. The last thing I got to say is I hope y'all can get used to this.
One of the key additions to the roster in the offseason made big play after big play this season, including a touchdown catch in Super Bowl 52. Please welcome wide receiver Alshon Jeffrey.
What's up? Hey, I told them at the beginning of the week that we was bringing this trophy back up. Don't it look good over here? Hey, I just want to say I thank y'all, but I would not be standing here. I would not be standing here if it wasn't for a great group of guys. Let them introduce themselves. We all wouldn't be here if it wasn't for all of us together.
Yeah, the special thing about this team has always been about family. Everyone gave of themselves. I remember way back in March, sitting down with Alshon in the locker room. It's like, man, why'd you come here? He's like, I wanted to be a part of something special. And look what happened. We world champs, baby.
We love y'all, Philly. I appreciate y'all. Y'all gave us a lot of love, a lot of energy. We world champs.
And we're the best in the world. We're the best in the world. You build your football team from the line of scrimmage out, and the Eagles were dominant on both sides of the ball this season. The brains in the middle of the offensive line with great athletic ability, strength, teamwork. Please welcome All-Pro center Jason Kelsey.
I'm going to take a second to talk to you about underdogs. I know Lane and Chris just talked about this, but I don't think that it's been beat home enough. Howie Roseman,